Chapter 1342. The four heaved a sigh of relief after returning to the demon territory. Looking behind them, the exit of the space-time tunnel looked like a pitch-black hole, completely different from the colorful lights Long Yu had seen before. It seemed that the physical strength of the Dragon of 9 Underworlds under Ji Tao's control was indeed strong enough to conceal the aura of the space-time tunnel. This allowed them to completely relax and prepare to do their own things. "I'll go gather my brothers first, you guys do as you please." Shueluo chuckled and disappeared in front of the three. He had used the spatial divine rune to teleport away. I understand why he's in such a hurry. After all, he hasn't returned for 3 months. Who knows what his emperor army has become? If he doesn't return soon, I'm afraid the army will disband his emperor army. Xiaobai said with a smile. All right, let him go. We have to go back to Shueluo planet first to see if my friends are there, and leave them a message. Long Yu and Red Oriole looked at each other and nodded, then said to Xiaobai. Then I'll go with you. Whitey stretched herself and said with a faint smile, I'm waiting for your first-class honor badge. I can activate the space-time imprint teleportation array so that I can get to the third outer domain galaxy as soon as possible. Without a first-class honor badge, even an army commander like Shueluo would have to wait for the space-time imprint to activate. Although the waiting time would be much shorter, it was still necessary. In that case, it would take at least 1 day to reach the army headquarters in the third outer domain galaxy, and a round trip would take 2 days. By the time they returned, the space-time tunnel would have disappeared. They could only return after 3 months. Xiaobai didn't want to wait that long. Therefore, he planned to stay by Long Yu's side. That way, with a first-class honor badge, he wouldn't need to wait and could directly activate the space-time imprint to reach the third galaxy in 6 hours. Long Yu naturally didn't mind. With Whitey by his side, he could treat it as a free bodyguard. If anything happened, Whitey wouldn't sit idly by. After all, this fellow was a 6th-stage dominator. He wasn't far from reaching the peak of the 7th-stage sovereign realm. With Whitey by his side, his safety would definitely be guaranteed. After Shueluo left, the other three also set off, riding on the Nether Void Dragon Blade. Xiao Su brought them to the nearby Bloodfall Star. The speed at which he traversed through the void was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, the fallen blood star was within his field of vision. Very quickly, the three of them stopped at Sky Cliff City on Shueluo planet and went to the place where the people of Shenwu World were staying. This was a series of courtyards that were usually quiet, but today it seemed to be a bit rowdy, not sure what was going on. Long Yu's group of 3 didn't immediately come out from the Nether Void Dragon Blade. Instead, they rode on it and had Xiao Su turn into a blue streak of light, silently descending into this connected courtyard to observe the situation. However, what they saw was a group of people causing trouble here. This caused Long Yu to frown. It's only been 3 months, and Shueluo hasn't returned for 3 months. Could it be that the Bloodfall Star has already become chaotic? Yo, there are people causing trouble in the outer regions, this is quite rare. Little brother Long, are these your friends? Their talents aren't bad. Whitey squinted his eyes as he observed the situation in the courtyard, then commented. At this moment, Long Yu glanced over and saw that the people in the courtyard had faces full of anger as they argued with the group of people who had come to cause trouble. Not everyone was present, but many familiar faces were present. There were Feng Yusin, Feng Haofeng, and Feng Xiaofei, the 3 prodigies of the Feng family. In the entire Feng family, only the 3 of them had come to the outer regions to train, the others were still in the neo-martial world in Long Yu's miniature world. Aside from these 3, there were also Shi Yengu, Yen Huan, and Mo Huan, a total of more than 10 people. However, against the 30 or so troublemakers, they were a bit powerless. Most importantly, even Sunset Dance, who had the highest cultivation in the group, was only a 6-star monarch. On the other hand, there were 3 experts in the sovereign secret realm among the group that had come to cause trouble. Even though there were only 2 lesser sovereign realm and 1 middle sovereign realm, it was still difficult for Shi Yengu and the others to face head-on. After listening for a while, Long Yu finally understood. So this group of people were from the army of the planet next to Xueluo star. Because Xueluo had not returned for 3 months, and someone had reported the death of Xueluo and the others in the battlefield army, the battlefield army had already sent out an order to disband the Emperor army on Xueluo star. This also led to the distribution of the remaining resources on the Xueluo planet to the neighboring Emperor army. This was decided by the people in the battlefield army. Because of this, many members of the battlefield army from the neighboring planet followed their respective army commanders to the Xueluo planet to divide up their territories. Currently, the courtyard that Shi Yengu and the others were in had a rather high-level cultivation formation. In addition, the location was vast and the environment was quiet. Therefore, the 30 or so people in front of them wanted to forcefully occupy it and make it their base. I didn't expect the higher-ups to give the order. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be like this. It can only be that someone reported Xueluo's death, making the higher-ups believe that Xueluo is dead. Little White narrowed his eyes. After understanding the situation, he started to think about the reason for this abnormal situation. Very quickly, he found the answer. In that case, it can only be the people in our group. When we wanted to escape from the alien ruins, weren't there a few people running at the front? And they even blew up the exit. Ba Xiong and Su Yuqing, I know these 2 people before. They shouldn't have done such a thing. Then it's most likely Dark Thunder and Maru Han. The reason why Dark Thunder and Maru Han were invited by Xueluo to explore the alien ruins is because their planet is near the Xueluo planet. In this way, after reporting Xueluo's death, they can come and divide the cultivation resources on the Xueluo planet. This kind of thing has happened many times in the past. Most importantly, no one would have any objections to dying in the ancient alien ruins, Little White said as he shook his head. Obviously, he didn't expect Dark Thunder and Maru Han to be such people. As he said this, Long Yu narrowed his eyes. He observed the 30 or so people in front of him. Indeed, they were from the same demon race as Dark Thunder. They were all members of the Thunder Lizard demon race. Dark Thunder was an expert of the Thunder Lizard demon race. The Emperor army he led was naturally from the Thunder Lizard demon race, just like how Xueluo led the Blood demon race. This discovery made Long Yu feel a trace of disgust towards Dark Thunder. He was too lazy to find out who blew up the exit of the ancient alien ruins. But now, the other party actually wanted a yard after taking an inch, and wanted to occupy the Xueluo planet and bully the original people on the Xueluo planet. Such behavior, no matter who it was, would definitely be infuriated. We don't have much time. Let's directly deal with them. Long Yu said to Red Oriole and Little White. Don't take me as your fighter. With just these 30 or so people, you alone are enough to deal with them. Little White raised his hands in surrender, the corners of his mouth slightly raised. He wasn't interested in helping Long Yu fight. However, what he said wasn't wrong. There was 1 middle-level dominator, 2 lower-level dominators, and the rest were between the 5-star Emperor to the 7-star Emperor level. Although they were one of the stronger squads of the Thunder Lizard Demon Race's Emperor army, they definitely didn't have the ability to resist Long Yu. Long Yu didn't have the time to play with these people. So, as soon as he understood the situation, he jumped out of the Nether Void Dragon Blade and appeared in front of everyone in the courtyard. Seeing Long Yu's figure, Shi Yengu and the others were stunned. Then, a trace of surprise and joy appeared in their eyes. Without a doubt, they didn't expect Long Yu to appear in front of them at this time. Of course, the most important thing was that they didn't expect Long Yu to still be alive. 3 months ago, they received news that the entrance to the ancient foreign race's ruins had collapsed. Xueluo, Consort Yu, Long Yu, Red Oriole, and the others had all died inside. This news made Shi Yengu and the others sad until now. They didn't expect to see Long Yu suddenly appear. This made them a little confused, wondering if they were hallucinating. However, what happened next made them realize that it wasn't an illusion. Long Yu was indeed still alive, and his strength seemed to have increased by quite a bit. Who is this guy? Seeing Long Yu appear, Shi Yengu and the others' expressions changed drastically. The 30-plus Thunder Lizard Demon Race's Emperor Ruler experts were a little puzzled. Lower ruler of the human race. Brat, this matter has nothing to do with you. If you want to meddle in other people's business, you should first consider your own strength. The leader of the Thunder Lizards said in a low voice, Us brothers have taken a liking to this courtyard. In any case, we are all part of the battlefield army. We will contribute to the battlefield army no matter where we go. Since Xue Luo is dead, the resources of Xue Luo planet cannot be wasted like this. What a pompous speech, but it's also quite reasonable. We are all part of the battlefield army, so it's the same no matter where we go. Since that's the case, you all should return to where you came from. Let me tell you something, Xue Luo is not dead and has returned. Long Yu walked over and faintly said to the 30-some monster race members of the Thunder Lizards. His eyes were focused on the body of the middle-level monster leader. These faint eyes and his words caused the complexions of the 30-some Thunder Lizards to change. Xue Luo is not dead? This wasn't good news for them. Chapter 1343. The 30-odd Thunder Lizards panicked when they heard Long Yu's words. After all, if Xue Luo hadn't died, they wouldn't have been able to obtain these benefits today. Who are you? Why have humans come to our monster race's territory? Although our two races coexist peacefully and cooperate with each other, there are some things that you humans can't meddle in. The leader of the Thunder Lizard Demon Race's mid-level sovereign realm had a fierce expression on his face as he spoke directly. I also live here. Do you think I can meddle in this? Long Yu found this a little funny. In any case, Xue Luo has returned. This isn't a place where you can behave atrociously. After saying this, Long Yu felt that there was no point in saying so much nonsense. The other party definitely wouldn't retreat like this unless they believed that Xue Luo had returned. As for Long Yu, rather than trying to convince the other party that Xue Luo had returned, he might as well use his strength to speak. Right now, Long Yu's time was very precious. He had to resolve some matters within 3 days, so that those who wanted to go to the Void Galaxy could be on their way. Therefore, there was no time for Long Yu to waste. Even in the outer domain galaxy, strength speaks. The stronger one is, the more resources they can occupy. The corners of the Thunder Lizard Demon Clan's mid-level ruler's lips curled upwards. Unfortunately, Long Yu didn't plan on giving him the chance to finish speaking. When Long Yu realized that he couldn't use words to force the other party to retreat, it was already decided that he would attack. It didn't matter when he attacked. Absolute Space Domain. Long Yu held the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda in his hand and created an absolute space domain to prevent anyone from escaping. Then, the power of the 9 Nether Divine characters condensed in Long Yu's hand. He instantly used his first mystique, Hand of the 9 Nether. At this moment, the 9 Nether Divine characters that Long Yu had condensed contained 30% of the Revelation Grade 9 Nether Divine characters. Its might had increased by 2 or 3 times, and the speed at which the 9 Nether Hand appeared had also increased. The other party was still speaking arrogantly, but he hadn't expected that Long Yu would actually dare to directly attack him. For a moment, he couldn't react in time. 5 white bony arms darted out of the void and directly wrapped around the mid-level ruler. Damn it! The mid-level juggernaut cursed. Since Long Yu had made a move, he couldn't just sit and wait for death. If you want to die, I'll grant your wish. The power of the Thunder Divine runes erupted. As a captain of the Emperor's Legion, this mid-level sovereign definitely had some strength. At the very least, when he erupted with power, he was actually able to blast away the 5/9 Underworld Hand. However, Right after that, a streak of blue light instantly flew into the arena. It was the Netherworld Dragon Blade. With a thought from Long Yu, the Netherworld Dragon Blade directly flew over. Then, he condensed the water-type Genesis power and used the Void Burial technique. The tyrannical water-type Genesis power fused into a whirlpool and swept forward, enveloping all the thunder lizards within. The terrifying power pulled them in. What technique is this? It's actually the Genesis power? The mid-level sovereign among the thunder lizards paled. He had never imagined that Long Yu could actually use the Genesis power. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have fought against Long Yu at all. Wasn't this just seeking death? All of you, get in here! The mid-level sovereign shouted. He raised his hand and the power of the world sucked all the other thunder lizards into his little world. This was because he was sure that his 30 subordinates would definitely not be able to resist Long Yu's Void Burial technique. As for himself, he stimulated the power of the Thunder Divine runes, using all of his strength to defend with all of his strength. When the Void Burial closed and was about to explode, the mid-level sovereign gritted his teeth. He couldn't guarantee that he would survive. However, no matter what, he couldn't admit defeat to Long Yu. All right, little Void. Stop. Long Yu saw that the mid-level sovereign was gritting his teeth and transforming into his thunder lizard form. He gestured for little Void to stop. It was clear that the mid-level sovereign had already given up. He was just unwilling to admit defeat because of his pride. Since that was the case, there was no need to kill him. Long Yu didn't want to kill anyone from the battlefield army. No matter what, the battlefield army was worthy of respect. At the very least, they were very brave on the battlefield against the other races. The Void Burial technique was withdrawn before it could explode. The Netherworld Dragon Blade returned to Long Yu's side, but the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda was not withdrawn. It continued to maintain the absolute space domain. The mid-level sovereign of the Thunder Lizards was covered in cold sweat. Only when he saw this did he return to his human form. May I ask for your name? The middle-aged man in the form of a mid-level sovereign turned his head with great difficulty and asked Long Yu. Long Yu. Long Yu replied honestly, hurry up and leave. Shueluo came back with me. You can tell this news to your army. Also, let your army commander Dark Thunder know. Long Yu, it's you. The mid-level ruler was instantly stunned. He had naturally heard of this name before. This was the great hero of the previous battle against the Ice God race. This name had long since spread throughout the 3 great galaxies. If he had known earlier that this was Long Yu, he wouldn't have dared to attack Long Yu even if he was beaten to death. One had to know that Long Yu was a hero with a first-class honor badge. No matter what the reason was, attacking a first-class honor badge holder was disregarding the dignity of the battlefield army. This was serious enough to be considered as going against the entire battlefield army. When he thought of this, tears and snot almost flowed down the middle ruler's face. What was he doing? I'll go right now, I'll go tell our Lord Commander. The mid-level sovereign hurriedly said, then bowed to Long Yu. Not only because of the first-class honor badge, but also because Long Yu's casual void burial had the power to take his life. This made him feel respect for Long Yu. Take care. Only then did Long Yu put away the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda. Then, he watched as the mid-level sovereign turned into a streak of light and flew away. Then, Long Yu turned around and walked toward Shi Yengu and the others in the courtyard. Fortunately, this group of thunder lizards didn't waste too much time. Long Yu was in a good mood. Big brother Long Yu. Seeing Long Yu walk over, someone finally couldn't hold back their emotions and ran towards Long Yu. It was the little girl, Shi Yengu. Shi Yengu threw herself into Long Yu's arms. Tears glistened in her eyes. I knew it. How could our big brother Long Yu die just like that? Those guys were indeed lying. Long Yu. The graceful Yen Huanma also walked over, looking at Long Yu with a joyful expression. Big brother Long. Feng Xiaofei and Feng Haofeng ran over quickly, their eyes filled with joy. As expected, Big Brother Long is amazing. Every time you appear, you can always solve all problems. It just so happens that it's just a small team from the battlefield army. If their army commander was here, I'd have to call for help too. Long Yu chuckled as he spoke the truth. However, the others only thought that he was being humble. Big Brother Long, where have you been all this time? We were all so worried about you. Sister-in-law, she must be fine too, right? Fengyu Xin walked over leisurely. This little girl had grown up to have a simple and elegant charm. Her voice was clear and melodious like that of an oriole. It was very pleasing to hear. To Fengyu Xin, the sister-in-law she mentioned was naturally Hong Ying. This was something that everyone had already agreed on. Everyone is fine. Don't worry. This time, I came back mainly to discuss something with everyone. As Long Yu spoke, he waved his hand and let everyone into the courtyard. He glanced around and saw that there weren't many people in the courtyard. There were only a dozen or so he asked, "Is everyone else here?" Most of them have gone out to train. Lele has gone to the Sky Cliff City's market to sell elixirs. Why would everyone stay at home? Fengyu Xin covered her mouth and laughed softly. She was the happiest to see Long Yu return. At this moment, she was the most talkative person in the group. Everyone was very convinced of Fengyu Xin's talent and capabilities. Naturally, they would listen to her. Shi Yengu was at the side. She hugged Long Yu's arm and did not let go. She looked very happy. This little girl worshipped Long Yu and treated him like a big brother. Of course, this little girl was not young. When they first met, this little girl was with Sunset Crane. She was still very young then. Now, she had grown into a beautiful young lady. Most of their cultivation was above the 3-star emperor, but none of them had reached the 7-star emperor. This was also the limit of their cultivation. Even Shi Yengu, who had received the Death Envoy's inheritance, was only at the 6-star emperor's cultivation. There was still a long way to go before she reached the ruler's mystic realm. However, they should be able to cross this distance very quickly. This was because Long Yu had gained quite a lot from the ancient outsider ruins this time. He would exchange enough cultivation resources with Xiao Bai. Arriving at the courtyard, Long Yu surveyed his surroundings and discovered that there were only 15 people present. They were Shi Yengu, Yan Huanmo, Fengyu Xin, Feng Xiaofei, and Feng Haofeng. There were also some familiar faces, but Long Yu did not remember them. For example, Chu Huang and Chu Xin. The mother and daughter pair were from the Tang Empire's royal family. There were also Ling Han, Ling Yue Yiluan's senior sister, He Qinxue, and so on. There were 15 people in total. To be honest, Long Yu didn't really trust these people. After all, he didn't have a deep relationship with some of them. Therefore, he couldn't say everything and could only pick out a part of them. He said to everyone, "I found a pretty good place to develop. Although that place is rather remote, it definitely doesn't lack cultivation resources. If everyone is willing, you can follow me to that place. There's no need to stay here." Long Yu did not say it was the Void Galaxy. He only said it was a place to develop. He invited everyone. They did not expect Long Yu to ask them to leave as soon as he came back. They were caught off guard. Shi Yenwu shook Long Yu's arm. "Big brother Long Yu, I will go wherever you go. I will stay in your little world." Chapter 1344. Long Yu was rather puzzled by Shi Yangwu's words. "How can you stay in my little world all the time? You'll have your own little world by then. If you stay in my little world all the time, the recovery of the aura in your little world will be much slower." Long Yu shook his head and patted Shi Yangwu's head with a smile. He then looked up and said to the others, "If you want to come, you can come to my little world first. Someone will take you to that place later." "Someone will take us? What about you, Brother Long?" Feng Xiaofei hurriedly asked. "I still have to go to the Demigod College. I don't know how long I'll be there. Anyway, you can follow me to that place first. I can guarantee that you won't regret it. Long Yu said mysteriously. That place had the core of the divine temple and the primordial gold pond. Of course, they wouldn't regret going there. Moreover, if they went to the Void Galaxy, there would definitely be abundant resources for cultivation, and they wouldn't have to worry about danger. It was definitely the perfect place for those who wanted to focus on cultivation. By the way, Xueluo will also go there, so I'm afraid this planet won't be called Bloody Fallen Planet anymore in the future. Without anyone to protect us, there will be endless troubles in the future. Long Yu told the truth. It sounded like a threat, but it was the truth without a doubt. He also hoped that everyone would go to the Void Galaxy to cultivate. As for training, they had already had enough training recently. They had to go on a battlefield mission at least once a month, which was extremely dangerous. What they needed now was a chance to settle down. If they continued to stay on the Bloody Fallen Planet, they wouldn't have such an opportunity for a long time. After settling down once, if they wanted to come out again, they could leave through the spacetime tunnel once every 3 months, come here for training for 3 months, and then go back to settle down. All in all, the cultivation environment in the Void Galaxy was definitely top-notch. It was the quietest place to cultivate. Of course, no one present would object to this statement. I believe in Big Brother Long. Naturally, I'll go with you, Feng Haofeng said solemnly. This person had always been steady. Even he had agreed to go, let alone the others. Even Chu Huang, Chu Xin, He Qinxue and the others, although they did not interact much with Long Yu, they still trusted Long Yu very much. They all nodded their heads and agreed to go together. Since everyone has agreed, we won't waste any more time. Let's go find the others first. Also, leave a jade slip so that the others will know where we went. As Long Yu spoke, he asked Little White, who was in the small world, to help him leave a jade slip. If other people came to the courtyard and couldn't find him, they would be the same if they saw the jade slip. As for why Long Yu asked Little White to help him create the jade slip, it was because only Little White had the ability to hide the jade slip from others. Only when people with Long Yu's small world appeared would the jade slip appear. This was just a small trick, but it was very useful in times like this. Anyone who came out of Long Yu's small world would have a special aura. This aura was usually hard to distinguish, but Little White had a way to find it and use it to distinguish between friend and foe. If other people came to the courtyard, the jade slip would become invisible. Only when Long Yu's friends came, the jade slip would appear and tell them something. Of course, Little White wouldn't leave any information about the Void Galaxy in the jade slip. He only told the people who came back not to wander around. Long Yu would come back to find them in 3 days. Then, Long Yu put Shi Yengu and the others into the small world. Then, he left the courtyard and flew towards the market of Sky Cliff City. According to Shi Yengu, Liao Lele, Qin Yashuang, and Zi Su had gone to the market of Sky Cliff City to sell some pills that they had refined recently and to buy some materials for refining pills. The 3 women had a good relationship now, and Liao Lele's skills in refining pills had improved. However, the remaining Rainbow Stone Egg had not been used. The 8 Supreme Blood Pill and the Sacred Soul Pill were not easy to refine. They were even more difficult to refine than the Demonic Movement Pill and the Void Movement Pill. Although they were both heaven-defying pills, the 8 Supreme Blood Pill and the Sacred Soul Pill were special pills. They were not like the Demonic Movement Pill and the Void Movement Pill, which were attributed pills. Naturally, the difficulty of refining them was on a different level. They were not far from Sky Cliff City's bazaar, so Long Yu easily flew over. With the support of the light of equalization, his spiritual senses spread out in all directions, and he immediately detected the location of Liao Lele and the other 2 women. However, what made Long Yu frown was that Liao Lele and the others were also in trouble. When did Xuele and Maru Hun's people come to Xueluo Star? Long Yu asked Feng Yusin and the others in the small world. The group of people who were looking for trouble with Liao Lele turned out to be from the same demon race as Maruhan, the ghost bat demon race. You mean the thunder lizard demon race and the ghost bat demon race? They should have been here for a few days. However, they only came to Sky Cliff City today. After all, there are still a lot of blood demon race guards in Sky Cliff City. It's just that the orders came today to disband the Shueluo Legion, so… Feng Yusen sighed and said, "Now that Shueluo is back, it should be fine. At least those guys won't be able to bully us." Long Yu narrowed his eyes and moved. In an instant, he appeared in the market of Sky Cliff City, next to Liao Lele and the others. At that moment, Liao Lele's face was red with anger. Qin Yishuang and Zi Su, who were beside her, were also filled with righteous indignation. However, the three of them were too weak and couldn't fight against the other side. The leader of the other party was a middle-level sovereign realm ghost bat demon race young master. He came to Shueluo Star to train. Coincidentally, Maru Hun was leading a team to plunder the Shueluo Star, so he followed. After arriving at Sky Cliff City's market, the young master saw Liao Lele and the others. Immediately, evil thoughts rose in his heart. He wanted to take the three of them into his harem. Of course, the young master liked Liao Lele the most. After all, Liao Lele was an extremely skilled alchemist. This was a well-known fact in the entire Sky Cliff City's market. Therefore, the young master of the ghost bat demon race would not give up easily. Beside the young master, there was a small team of ghost bat demon race's battlefield army. There were 2 upper-level sovereign experts protecting the young master. It seemed like Maru Hun had taken good care of him. However, this did not affect Long Yu. Since he was here, the other party could not do anything to Liao Lele and the others. Young Master Long, as soon as she saw Long Yu's figure, Qin Yashuang reacted quickly. Her eyes were misty. She thought Long Yu was dead. She did not expect Long Yu to suddenly appear in front of her. She could not help but wonder if she was dreaming. "I'm back. Everyone is fine. Follow me." Long Yu did not have much to say to Qin Yashuang, Liao Lele, and Zi Su. Liao Lele needed a stable environment to refine elixirs. As for Qin Yashuang and Zi Su, they would definitely listen to Long Yu. There was no doubt about it. Therefore, Long Yu raised his hand and enveloped the 3 women in his world energy. Of course, the 3 women had absolute trust in Long Yu. Without any resistance, they excitedly entered Long Yu's small world. This scene left the Ghost Bat Demon Clan's young master dumbfounded. What the hell? Someone actually dared to snatch them in front of him? Moreover, the 3 girls were really willing to be taken into the small world by the person who came? When Qin Yashuang said young master Long, there were too many emotions. This clearly showed that the 3 of them knew Liao Lele. However, this didn't stop this young master from wanting to possess Liao Lele. This kind of young master from the demon race's territory was used to being domineering. He did not care about rules at all. He was completely lawless. Now that he was in the 3rd outer galaxy, he could not change his bad habit. He was immediately angry. "Brat, how dare you ruin my plan? Do you know who I am?" The Ghost Bat Demon Clan's young master's face sank. He scolded Long Yu in a stern voice, "Hand over the 3 women now and this young master will let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, just wait to die. I advise you not to make a fool of yourself. Otherwise, you will be the one to die." Long Yu sent Liao Lele and the other 2 women into his small world. He was relieved. He was not interested in the young master at all. He wanted to leave immediately. However, the young master would not let him leave just like that. "You want to leave? Not so easy." The Ghost Bat Demon Clan's young master relied on his strength as a mid-level sovereign. He didn't ask his bodyguards to help him. He raised his hand and spatial divine runes instantly exploded, sealing Long Yu's entire body in a layer of spatial barrier. This guy had trapped Long Yu. Unfortunately, this layer of space barrier was nothing to Long Yu. He smirked. He raised his hand and extended a path of 9 underworld. The space barrier was completely destroyed in an instant. This situation shocked the young master of the Ghost Bat Demon clan. His already dark face became even darker. He raised his hand and shouted, "Capture him for me!" These words were said to the 2 superior ruler bodyguards beside him. It was also because Long Yu had casually used the 9 underworlds path to break his spatial seal that he understood that Long Yu wasn't someone he could deal with. Even though Long Yu was a lower-level dominator and he was an upper-level dominator, the young master knew that some people's strength could not be judged purely by their cultivation. The 2 bodyguards did not recognize Long Yu. As soon as they heard the young master's words, they immediately attacked and prepared to subdue Long Yu. Chapter 1345. Under normal circumstances, there wouldn't be any problems for a higher ruler to deal with a lower ruler. However, it was a pity that the 2 of them had met Long Yu. Seeing that the other party was going all out, Long Yu wasn't in a hurry to leave. Since they didn't want his face, how could he not collect some interest? Although the opponents were 2 higher ruler, Long Yu wasn't afraid at all. In truth, with Long Yu's current strength, an ordinary higher ruler wouldn't be a match for him. To Long Yu, challenging someone of a higher rank was as common as having a meal. Even though these 2 dominators were elites of the army on the battlefield, and they were brimming with killing intent and rich battle experience, they were still unable to suppress Long Yu. They're really fighting? Who's that kid? He's just a lower ruler and he dares to go against the Ghost Bat Demon race's young master? I don't know him, but he seems to be someone from the courtyard. He must be related to Legion Commander Xueluo. Otherwise, he wouldn't know that female alchemist. Isn't Legion Commander Xueluo dead? Even if this brat wants to stick his neck out, it's really not the right time to do so. Wouldn't he be throwing his life away? The surrounding crowd pointed and discussed. It was obvious that they had a good impression of Legion Commander Xueluo. They also felt that it was a pity that Xueluo had died. As for the Ghost Bat Demon race members in front of them, most of them were unhappy. That was because when the young master led the way to the market, he had taken advantage of many of them, causing them to suffer huge losses. Now that they saw someone going against the young master, although they were happy, they didn't think well of Long Yu. They felt that he definitely wouldn't be able to defeat the young master. Most importantly, those 2 high-level dominator bodyguards weren't just for show. They were definitely senior captain-level figures of the monarch army. They had extremely rich battle experience, and were stronger than ordinary high-level dominators. Of the 2 higher ruler experts, one was in charge of attacking while the other was in charge of blocking. Obviously, they didn't want Long Yu to escape. However, they didn't expect that Long Yu had no intention of escaping at all. One of them flashed to the entrance of the market and raised his hand to conjure a spatial barrier, covering the space around Long Yu. He wanted to stop Long Yu from escaping. The other person attacked Long Yu. The Ghost Bat Demon race members were innately proficient in shadow attribute divine characters. At this moment, he raised his hand and a gray fog spread out. Fog of desire, that person shouted. Obviously, he used a Khanate theurgy. Moreover, it was a very powerful Khanate theurgy. Under the cover of this gray fog, all opponents would become unconscious and drowsy. It was an extremely powerful mind theurgy. Unfortunately, his opponent was Long Yu. When the gray fog enveloped Long Yu, he immediately activated his pure world body. The tyrannical power of this martial arts secret technique directly purified the gray fog that had invaded Long Yu's body. So, Long Yu wasn't affected by the gray fog at all. As long as one didn't reach the Great Ruler Realm, it was still a little too early to use mind theurgy to deal with Long Yu. Since the other party dared to attack him in broad daylight, there was no need for Long Yu to show any mercy. Raising his hands, he condensed 2 light blue spatial blade. Space rending slash. The Draconic sacred spring turned into two sharp blades and instantly swept into the opponent's body. It found the location of the opponent's beastdan and was about to stab and pierce through it. However, it was clear that his opponent was also incomparably vigilant. At this moment, he abruptly transformed into a large pitch-black bat. His entire body suddenly transformed into a black mist, disappearing from his original location, successfully dodging Long Yu's sneak attack. Light of Equalization. The effect of Long Yu's light of equalization was not over yet. His spiritual sense was very strong, so he found the opponent's position in an instant. It was not far to the left. Then, the Void Nether Dragon Blade didn't need Long Yu to control it. It directly pierced through space and arrived in the blink of an eye. The water element absolute beginning energy formed a spatial blade and easily pierced through one of the opponent's wings. After all, the Nether Void Dragon Blade was a divine grade absolute beginning weapon born from the absolute beginning furnace, and it had its own consciousness. It was a divine grade absolute beginning weapon that was compatible with Long Yu to the peak. Its power was no less than an ordinary 6th awakened stage divine grade absolute beginning weapon. His attack had severely wounded his opponent. His opponent did not even know where Long Yu had attacked from. Although he had only pierced one of his wings, for the Ghost Bat Demon clan, wings were obviously very important, just like the Blood Demon clan. This made the opponent instantly furious. He was a high-level ruler, but he was injured by a mere lower-level ruler. If word got out, how would he be able to stay in the army on the battlefield? No matter what, he had to get back at him, and the simplest way was to kill this brat. 10,000 bats shocked the sky. Suddenly, countless bat shadows exploded from his body, completely hiding his body in the countless bat shadows. This was a supreme-grade Archean martial skill. It was obvious that it was his trump card. An unbounded martial skill was not that easy to obtain. For ordinary people, a supreme-grade Archean martial skill was definitely second to none. Once it was used, it would determine the outcome of the battle. Unfortunately, using such a martial technique to deal with Long Yu was still a little too weak. Fallen Dark Star. In battle, Long Yu had always been very cautious about his opponent's methods. He would always display the most suitable method to break them. Right now, countless bat shadows were rushing towards him. Not a single one of them was strong. To Long Yu, there was no need for him to display any large-scale defensive method. By relying on balanced control, Long Yu could clearly understand the movements of each of the opponent's bat shadows and then condense fallen dark stars. Each fallen dark star could accurately hit the weakest part of a bat shadow, and then explode, completely destroying the opponent. With Long Yu's current strength, he could condense thousands of fallen dark stars in every breath of time. No matter how many bat shadows there were, they were nothing but food for Long Yu. The explosions of the fallen dark stars continued. The countless bat shadows couldn't do anything to Long Yu. But at this time, the opponent's attack came one after another. This time, it was a high-grade unbounded combat weapon. It was a pair of pitch-black spikes, and while Long Yu was dealing with the bat shadows, it pierced through the void and stabbed towards Long Yu. For ordinary people, an unbounded high-grade combat weapon was already a very powerful method. If they were lucky, they could explode with several times the strength, and the power would be even stronger than an ordinary divine-grade absolute beginning combat weapon. Now, the opponent's pitch-black spikes pierced through the void and exploded with 7 times the strength. The terrifying power it produced made even Long Yu feel like he couldn't resist it. He actually exploded with 7 times the strength. What kind of dog shit luck does this guy have? Long Yu gritted his teeth. Without hesitation, he raised his hand and activated the Battlemaster Celestial Barrier. He released the death chi that entangled him and covered his body with a layer of death armor. Then, the pair of pitch-black spikes directly broke through the outermost layer of the death chi. Their power was slightly weakened, and they stabbed straight into the Battlemaster's celestial barrier. In an instant, cracks appeared on the Battlemaster's celestial barrier. The momentum of the spikes did not decrease, and they landed on the death armor. In the end, they pierced through the death armor and stabbed into Long Yu's body. The sudden attack caught Long Yu off guard. Fortunately, he had used a defensive method in time, reducing the power of the opponent's assassination by at least half. Although the two pitch-black thorns had broken through Long Yu's defense and pierced into his body, they did not cause too much damage. This kind of injury would only require a short period of recuperation before he could rely on the demon Dust Heart to recover. Long Yu gritted his teeth, and with the help of the nether dragon blade, his figure flickered away. 12-star prison. He waved his hand and released a second-grade divine formation. The power of the divine characters in his body turned into 12 crescent-shaped arches. They instantly sealed the space where the opponent was and trapped him. A second-grade divine formation was one of the best in the world. After being trapped in the 12-star prison, it would not be easy for the opponent to escape. I can at least hold on for 10 breaths of time. In 10 breaths of time, I have to unleash a wave of attacks and kill the other guy. Long Yu thought to himself. His battles had always been orderly. Although the other person was still watching from afar and responsible for sealing the space, it would not be good if Long Yu used his full strength and the other person also came to help. Therefore, Long Yu took advantage of the fact that the opponent was unprepared to trap one of them in the 12-star prison. Then, he would deal with the other one first. Oh? You want to target me? The eyes of the other middle-aged man from the Ghost Bat clan, who was a higher sovereign, turned red. Of course, when he saw what Long Yu was doing, he could not help but smirk. When he saw his comrade injuring Long Yu, he felt that the battle was almost over. After all, his battle strength was slightly stronger than the other person. A higher sovereign was fighting 2 against 1, and the odds of winning were 100%. The middle-aged man from the Ghost Bat clan did not pay much attention to the fact that Long Yu had trapped his comrade. Instead, he took out a Blood Pagoda battle weapon. He held the Blood Pagoda battle weapon in his hand. His entire body exuded a scarlet aura, causing the people around him to subconsciously shiver. Even the young master of the Ghost Bat demon clan trembled a few times. However, he was standing outside the spatial seal. At this moment, he was extremely excited. Yes, that's right. Hurry up and kill him. Bring me those 3 women. I didn't expect that kidnapping women would happen in the outer domain galaxy near the battlefield army. What an eye-opener. Are you still part of the battlefield army? Long Yu smirked. He walked toward the middle-aged man from the Ghost Bat clan and said calmly, "We don't need a mere human like you to care about what we do." The middle-aged man from the Ghost Bat clan said disdainfully. The Blood Pagoda battle weapon in his hand suddenly enlarged. Countless blood-colored whips extended from the Blood Pagoda battle weapon and lashed toward Long Yu. Chapter 1346. The blood-colored whips danced around like a bunch of demons. The stench of blood enveloped the entire place, making many of the onlookers feel suffocated. One could imagine the pressure Long Yu was facing right now. However, in the eyes of the crowd, Long Yu was still standing there with a smile on his face. He had no intention of blocking the blood-colored whip. This surprised many of them. Had the kid given up on resisting? It didn't seem very likely, but why was he just standing there without moving? However, they would soon find out. Under the attacks of the blood-colored whips, the body of Long Yu was easily smashed into pieces in front of everyone. Without a doubt, that was just a mirror image that Long Yu had created. Long Yu had taken advantage of the fact that his opponent wasn't paying attention to form a primordial shadow to deceive him. Then, he turned into nothingness and approached his opponent. By the time his opponent realized that it was only a mirror image that Long Yu had left behind, it was already too late for him to react. Long Yu's sinister method was one of the reasons why he had won by surprise. At this moment, Long Yu had already sneaked up behind his opponent and taken out the ancient dragon bone tower. Unbounded top-tier combat weapon, ancient dragon bone tower. In the next moment, the dragon bone break was unleashed. His opponent had just reacted when he was faced with Long Yu's vicious attack. A terrifying shockwave erupted from behind him. 4 times the power, this was the strongest dragon bone burst that Long Yu had ever unleashed since he had used the ancient dragon bone tower. In an instant, his opponent's body was completely destroyed, and the ancient dragon bone tower smashed into the ground of the entire market, creating a huge crater. The shockwave swept out, sending a large number of the nearby spectators flying. The spatial barrier that the ruler had set up just now was also completely shattered by this attack. There wasn't even a need for a specialized technique like the 9 underworld path to be able to break through it. The entire bazaar was a mess. The first Ghost Bat Demon tribe's superior ruler was still trapped in the 12-star prison. However, the 12-star prison had been swept away by the ancient dragon skeleton tower's shockwave, and was on the verge of collapse. Without waiting for the other party to break out of the 12-star prison, Long Yu instructed the Void Nether Dragon Blade to fly to the top of the 12-star prison and condense the power of water. Void Burial. Long Yu would not show the slightest mercy to those who dared to make a move in the outer domain galaxy. He would kill them if he could. It would be fine if it was him this time, but if it was someone else and they were targeted by the Ghost Bat clan's young master, they would not have a good life for the rest of their lives. Therefore, Long Yu did not have the slightest bit of mercy when dealing with such a fellow. However, Long Yu did not want to affect others. Therefore, he activated the ancient dragon bone tower and created a layer of absolute space domain at the side. Then, Void Burial began to erupt. Absolute space domain. It should be able to offset most of the power of Void Burial, right? Long Yu thought to himself. He did not stay in the absolute space domain. Only the 12-star prison and the Ghost Bat Demon tribe's superior ruler were left in the absolute space domain. In the next moment, the Void Burial formed by the power of water and the power of water erupted. The terrifying shockwave caused the entire bazaar to tremble once again. Everything in the absolute space domain was twisted into the Void Burial and blasted into pieces. Everything, including the 12-star prison and the Ghost Bat Demon tribe's superior ruler, was completely annihilated in the Void Burial. Nothing was left. Even his small world mark was destroyed. This was because the small world mark was not made of any sturdy material. If such a terrifying explosion were to erupt, it would be enough to raise the entire Sky Cliff City to the ground. Fortunately, Long Yu had isolated it from the outside world with his absolute space domain. Otherwise, the damage would be unimaginable. As such, the 2 superior rulers of the Ghost Bat monstrous clan had both died at Long Yu's hands. He did not bother with superfluous words. His figure flashed, and he arrived before the young master of the Ghost Bat monstrous clan. As for you, it seems like you have quite a high status. I'll take you as a hostage. The corners of Long Yu's lips curled up slightly. He directly grabbed the young master with the 9 underworld's hand. The Ghost Bat Demon tribe's young master was also a lesser ruler. He could not resist at all against Long Yu's attack. His strength was directly sealed by the 9 underworld's hand. Then, Long Yu enveloped him with the power of his world and directly sent him into his small world. Long Yu did not kill him because he thought that the young master's identity might be of some use. Seeing how arrogant he was, he probably had a high status in the Ghost Bat Demon tribe. If he encountered one Hun of the Ghost Bat Demon tribe, he might be able to use this young master to threaten him. Just like that, the great battle ended. To Long Yu, he had only dealt with 2 minor characters. Although he had to use quite a few of his trump cards in order to kill them, it was still not difficult at all. However, to the surrounding people, this situation was incredible. A trifling lower-level Dominator youth had actually killed 2 upper-level Dominator army powerhouses on the battlefield. This could be considered a miracle. The ordinary martial cultivators around him were all mercenaries of the battlefield army. They usually only did ordinary battlefield army missions. They had never seen such a powerful person before. At this moment, all of them were dumbfounded by the powerful combat strength displayed by Long Yu. No one expected the final outcome of the battle to be like this. When the people around him came to their senses, they began to clap and cheer. There was no doubt that what the young master of the Ghost Bat Demon tribe had done in the market had made the others unhappy. Unfortunately, there were not many powerful existences in the market, so they could not attack the young master of the Ghost Bat Demon tribe. Moreover, even if there were great rulers here, they would not dare to attack him. After all, this was the Outer Domain Galaxy, the headquarters of the battlefield army. However, the young master of the Ghost Bat Demon tribe was protected by 2 captain-level bodyguards of the battlefield army. Who would dare to fight against the people of the battlefield army? Only Long Yu could ignore the young master's identity and attack him brazenly. Little brother, although your combat strength is very strong, you have caused a great disaster. You have killed someone from the battlefield army. Hurry up and leave, or I'm afraid you will lose your life. An old man came to Long Yu's side and tried to persuade Long Yu. It's fine. Uncle, my name is Long Yu. I believe that everyone in the outer regions of the galaxy should have heard of my name before. Long Yu felt a little warm when he saw that the old man was so concerned about him. However, he had a first-class honor badge, so he did not need to be afraid of the old man's identity as a member of the battlefield army. Even if the Ball Soul came in person, Long Yu would not be afraid of him. After all, Long Yu was going to the Demigod College this time, and he had the support of a demigod expert. Most importantly, the Battlefield Legion had always been a sacred place. Now that the Ghost Bat Monstrous clan had allowed this young master to come here to train, he even enjoyed some special privileges. Even if this matter were to be made known to the higher-ups, it would not benefit the Ghost Bat Monstrous clan at all. In fact, it might even cause the Ghost Bat Monstrous clan to suffer a blow. This kind of thing was strictly forbidden in the battlefield army. It was only when Shueluo was dead that the Ball Soul dared to let the people of the Ghost Bat Demon tribe come and take advantage of the situation. It would not do the Ball Soul any good if the matter was brought to light. As long as it was not brought to the higher-ups, Long Yu had Little White and Shueluo by his side. Who could do anything to him? It was just that the opponents were not strong, and Little White was too lazy to do anything. If there was really a 4th or 5th stage Great Sovereign coming to deal with Long Yu, Little White could directly make them lose all their combat power. The moment Long Yu said his name, the old man's face immediately turned blank. Even the ordinary martial cultivators in the market would definitely have heard of this name. Wasn't the most important person in the Ice God tribe's victory Long Yu? It was said that he was a young man of the human race who had not even reached the sovereign's secret realm. He had actually stalled 3 demigods of the Ice God tribe in the battle against the Ice God tribe, allowing the 3 demigods of the Ice God tribe to be killed by the demigods of the demon race, which led to the Ice God tribe's final victory. The name of Long Yu resounded like thunder in the ears of everyone present. In particular, it was rumored that Long Yu's base camp in the Outer Domain Galaxy was on the Shueluo star. This made the mercenaries stationed on the Shueluo star even more proud. Unfortunately, the news that came back a while ago said that Shueluo and the others had died in the ancient race's ruins, including the hero Long Yu. Therefore, at this time, no one in the market would think of Long Yu's identity. Moreover, the rumor said that Long Yu had not reached the sovereign's secret realm, but the current Long Yu was already a lower sovereign's secret realm. Then again, it was natural for a genius's cultivation to rise quickly. This was especially true for those who had contributed greatly to the battlefield, and were rewarded by the various armies. It was normal for Long Yu to jump from the monarch realm to the sovereign's secret realm. It's Long Yu. He is so strong. He is only a lower sovereign realm expert, but he can kill 2 higher sovereign realm experts in a row. Amazing! That's right, that's right. As expected of our demon race's hero. Those ghost bat demon race guys are really daring to cause trouble for Long Yu. Everyone exclaimed in surprise. Long Yu did not stay in the same place for too long. After grabbing the ghost bat demon race's young master, he left the market with him. The people who came out of Long Yu's small world were mostly in the process of gaining experience. Long Yu couldn't find them even if he wanted to. He could only wait for them to come back and see the jade slip and wait in the courtyard. 3 days was enough for a normal training mission. At that time, Long Yu would definitely send Little White back to the Shui Luo Star before going to the Demigod Academy. Therefore, he could bring more people to the Void Galaxy when he came back. Chapter 1347. Coming out of Sky Cliff City's market, Long Yu asked Liao Lele and the other 2 what had happened. Just as he had expected, the 3 of them had set up a stall to sell some pills that they had refined themselves. As Liao Lele was quite famous in the area, there were a lot of people at the stall. Not long after, they attracted the attention of the young master of the ghost bat demon race. He said that he wanted to bring Liao Lele and the other 2 back. Fortunately, Long Yu had arrived in time. Otherwise, Liao Lele and the other 2 girls would have been in trouble. Now that the Shui Luo army was on the verge of disbanding, and the management of the market was not around, no one would stand out to save them. It was not that they were unwilling, but that they could not do it. Forget about the young master of the ghost bat demon race. He had 2 superior ruler realm bodyguards behind him. They were not people that anyone could afford to offend. For the time being, Long Yu could only receive these people. The rest were not on the Shui Luo planet, but had gone to the outsider's battlefield to train. From Liao Lele, Shi Yengwu and the rest, he found out that the intensity of their training was extremely high. They were not satisfied with the requirement of once a month. When they were free, they would go out to train, completing at least 10 times a month. Although the difficulty of these training was not very high, they would often meet some outsiders. After going through these training, everyone's combat strength had continuously increased. The double increase in strength and experience allowed everyone to grow quickly. Their growth speed was not much slower than Long Yu's. This situation made Long Yu feel gratified. He then asked Liao Lele about the other 2 heaven-defying pills. It's about time. The Sacred Soul Heavenly Pill was just purchased, a crucial ingredient a few days ago, and should be able to be refined in the next 2 days. The 8 Extreme Blood Pill will still take a long time. I have not completely studied the refining method of such a heaven-defying pill, so I do not dare to rashly try it. Liao Lele explained the situation to Long Yu. And then you can try refining the Sacred Soul Heavenly Pill. Even if you fail, it's fine. Don't feel pressured. Long Yu smiled and said. Now, Long Yu and the others had a lot of cultivation resources in their hands. Just the absolute beginning golden pool alone was priceless. Therefore, a heaven-defying pill was not considered too amazing. If the refinement failed, Long Yu wouldn't be too distressed. He was just afraid that Liao Lele would feel pressured. In any case, now that Liao Lele had reached the level of soul integration with the Misery Sea Cauldron, he could definitely be regarded as one of the few high-end alchemists in the territory of the human clan and the monster clan. In the human and demonic beast territories, there weren't many alchemists who could refine heaven-defying pills, not to mention that Liao Lele was currently only at the Emperor's level. Once she stepped into the Sovereign Realm, her chances of refining heaven-defying pills would be even higher and more stable. At that time, Liao Lele would truly be an alchemy grandmaster. Now that he had the alchemy department, all that was left was the weaponsmith department. Long Yu thought of this. Although everyone else had gone out to train, Wei Yuyan, the weaponsmith, should still be in Sky Cliff City. He had to bring her along. If he wanted to develop the Void Galaxy, talents were indispensable. At the very least, among the people that Long Yu knew, Wei Yuyan was the only one who knew how to refine an unbounded weapon. Therefore, Long Yu let Red Oriole out of his pocket dimension, and the two of them went to look for Wei Yuyan. When they arrived at the courtyard where Wei Yuyan lived, they found that the place was already empty. That old man must have heard that my brother and we are dead, so he ran away. I don't know where he went. Red Oriole gnashed her teeth in anger. There's nothing we can do. He's not on the same side as us. But I don't know when he left. Long Yu shook his head and narrowed his eyes. Since Wei Yuyan was not here, he would have to think about the refinement of the unbounded weapon. The world was vast, and it would not be easy to find out where Wei Yuyan had gone. I'll try using the secret martial arts deduction technique of the Blood Demon clan. If I can divine his whereabouts, everything will be fine. If not, it will be difficult for us to find Wei Yuyan, but to be honest, it won't be difficult to find an alchemist of his level. Red Oriole snorted, and then began to use her technique. The secret arts of the Blood Demon clan could enhance the deduction ability. Just like the light of equilibrium, it could also be applied to other people. Right now, Red Oriole had summoned Little White and enhanced the deduction ability to Little White. Little White's deduction ability was multiplied immediately. Little White was already an expert close to the level of a level 7 sovereign. Now that he had the secret technique of deduction, his deduction ability and speed were greatly enhanced. Let me do some deduction. That Wei Yuyan you mentioned might have thought that you were all dead, so she did not clean up the aura in the courtyard before she left. It shouldn't be too difficult to divine. As Little White spoke, he raised his hand to activate the power of deduction. As his power of deduction condensed, an image gradually appeared in front of everyone, horizontally above the courtyard. In the center of the image was the figure of the old man, Wei Yuyan. I didn't expect it to be so easy. It seems that he is still on the Fallen Blood planet. The one beside the old man, who else could it be but Ball Soul? Little White looked at the picture and was a little surprised. Long Yu and Red Oriole shot a glance at Wei Yuyan, feeling somewhat baffled. Wei Yuyan was actually together with the Ghost Bat Demon clan's Ball Soul. Furthermore, they were still on the Fallen Blood star. As for their exact location, they would have to rely on Little White's calculations to find out. But now that Little White had deduced Wei Yuyan, the old man must have noticed that someone was deducing him. The next deduction would not be very smooth, especially when Ball Soul was beside Wei Yuyan. Of course, even if it was a head-on confrontation with Ball Soul, Little White would not be afraid at all, not to mention that he had the help of Red Oriole's secret technique to compete with the old man's deduction ability. At most, it would only take a little more time. As expected, Ball Soul helped him resist my deduction ability, but the specific location is clear. He is in Sky Cliff City. Moreover, Ball Soul seems to have just received a report from his subordinates and heard about what happened in the market. He is furious. Little White narrowed his eyes and said, "That's for the best. If you have the guts, come and find trouble with us. I happen to keep that young master of the Ghost Bat Demon clan as a hostage." Long Yu laughed. It seemed like it was only a matter of time before the two sides met. Long Yu and Red Oriole stayed here and waited for the other party to arrive. The young master of the Ghost Bat Demon clan should still be very important, so he was not afraid that Wan Hun would not come. The three of them sat down in Wei Yuyan's original courtyard and drank some tea. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the power of spatial divine characters around the courtyard began to fluctuate, and a large group of Ghost Bat Demon race demonic cultivators surrounded the courtyard. They really think highly of us, actually sending a group of 1,000 people to surround us. Ball Soul's methods are not bad. Xiao Bai clicked his tongue and looked at the leader of the 1,000-man team surrounding the courtyard. At this moment, Wan Hun's face was filled with astonishment and anger. He was surprised that Little White and the others were still alive, and he was angry because Long Yu had captured the young master of the Ghost Bat Demon clan. Ball Soul could not be bothered to get close to Little White. After all, Little White was Shueluo's friend, not Bal Sol's. Moreover, Bal Sol and Shuele had joined forces to occupy Shueluo's star, so the conflict between Bal Sol and Shueluo had long been irreconcilable. Therefore, there was no need to maintain his demeanor and superficial politeness. There was no need. You're still alive, but since you're alive, shouldn't you celebrate? Why are you causing trouble everywhere and attacking my ghost bat demon clan cultivators? Bal Sol said in a cold tone. His eyes were like sharp blades as he stared at Long Yu. Long Yu, on the other hand, was leisurely sipping on his tea in the courtyard. Whether we live or die is our own business. Whatever your ghost bat monstrous clan wants to do is also your business. However, your ghost bat monstrous clan has offended us. Are we supposed to just sit there and not fight back? If there's a misunderstanding, we can settle it through negotiation. How about this: you release the people who captured our ghost bat demon tribe, and give us some of the things you found in the foreign ruins. Then, our ghost bat demon tribe will retreat immediately. We will not trouble you and Shueluo. Bal Sol said faintly, but what he said made people laugh. Hey, you're dreaming. Xiaobai laughed. Why should we share our things with you? In the multi-winged demon clan's ruins, you already escaped first and even blew up the exit, and now you want us to give you our things? What a good dream. We can give you the people, but you have to give us our people too. Long Yu continued, Wei Yuyan is with you now, right? Give her to us, and I will return the child to you. Otherwise, you will never see him again. Although he didn't know the identity of the child, Long Yu was sure that he was definitely an important figure in the Ghost Bat Demon clan, so he was not afraid at all when he spoke. Wei Yuyan, this person is a friend of mine. I can't obey you if you want me to give him to you, but believe me, if you attack our people, you will definitely regret it in the future. Even if you have a first-class honor badge, the Ghost Bat Demon clan will not let you go easily. Bal Sol said coldly. Then let's give it a try. Long Yu didn't take the threat seriously at all. After all, he would be training in the Demigod College, and would return to the Void Galaxy to cultivate after that. What could the Ghost Bat Demon clan do to him? Set up the formation, attack. Bal Sol didn't hesitate at all. He immediately ordered the surrounding 1,000-man team to get ready to attack. If this 1,000-man team attacked, even if they were only at the monarch level, even Xiaobai might not be able to withstand it. Not to mention that they seemed to be able to set up some kind of formation. Chapter 1348. Whitey, Long Yu, and Red Oriole were surprised to see the other party attack. They hadn't expected Bal Sol to be so daring. Attacking a first-class honor badge holder was a provocation to the entire demon race and human army. If he didn't have some trump cards, Bal Sol wouldn't be so daring. Be careful. It looks like the Ghost Bat Yao clan has some backing. A look of interest surfaced on Xiaobai's face. However, he did not panic in the slightest. With a casual raise of his hand, a layer of faint light flashed beside him, enveloping him, Long Yu, and Red Oriole. Enveloped by this faint layer of light, the figures of the three people suddenly became indistinct, as if they had become illusory existences. Although they could still be seen, they seemed to be in a different space and time from the people around them. Bal Sol's army of 1,000 Ghost Bat Yao clan didn't care too much about that. They attacked the center of the army, and all kinds of offensive divine abilities were blasted through the amplification formation they had set up. Originally, they thought that with 1,000 of them working together and relying on the amplification formation, they would be able to seriously injure Whitey, who was in the 6th stage sovereign realm, even if it was 1,000 people at the same level as Emperor. However, the reality was out of their expectations. The attacks were all absorbed by the illusory bodies of the three and turned into the purest shadow divine text power. Then, they were absorbed by the crystal ball in Whitey's hand. The crystal ball was one of Whitey's unbounded battle weapons. Combined with Whitey's illusory divine abilities, it could create an extremely powerful defense. Even the combined attack of 1,000 ghost bats couldn't do anything to it. Long Yu and Red Oriole were surprised. They hadn't expected Whitey to be so strong. Long Yu didn't have to take out the 9 Hell Steel. It seemed that with Whitey around, there was no need to use a trump card like the 9 Hell Steel. The first wave of attacks didn't work. Whitey smiled faintly. Ayaya, you guys are really weak. Is this the attitude you have when you come to ask for people? Brother Long, act according to the situation. If it really doesn't work, just kill that ghost bat Yao clan brat. At most, we'll fight to the death. Ha! His words made Maru Hun's face darken. He raised his hand and stopped his army of 1,000 men from continuing to attack. Originally, he wanted to intimidate Long Yu and the other two, but now he found that intimidating them was useless, because the other party was really too strong. And now, Ball Soul had used up all of the outsider puppets he had refined in the ancient outsider ruins. If he really fought with Whitey, he would definitely not be a match for it. Therefore, Maru Hun knew that it was impossible to win now. You are too arrogant. Don't you know the identity of the being you have kidnapped? Ball Soul's face darkened as he asked in a low voice. Isn't he just a young master? What other identity could it be? Xiao Bai clicked her tongue and said, no matter how honorable he is to the Ghost Bat Demon tribe, in my eyes, he is just a good-for-nothing. So what if he is killed? There is no loss to me at all. Ball Soul's eyes showed a mocking look. You dare to kidnap people without knowing anything? You should know that there are 7 demigod seniors in the demon race, and one of them is the leader of the Heavenly Bat Demon tribe. The Heavenly Bat Demon tribe and the Ghost Bat Demon tribe have a tradition of marriage alliance for a long time. Heavenly Bat Demon tribe. Hearing Ball Soul's words, Xiao Bai narrowed his eyes. He did know about this, but could it be that such an idiot young master has a marriage alliance with the Heavenly Bat Demon tribe? No wonder he is so arrogant. It turns out that he has the support of a demigod. Xiao Bai thought to himself, but on the surface, he did not show it. He was indifferent to what Ball Soul said. He stepped forward in the void, getting closer and closer to Ball Soul. Unknowingly, he seemed to have separated Ball Soul from everyone else. Because of Xiao Bai's innate ancient special ability, Ball Soul did not realize it at all. When he realized it, he had completely fallen into the illusory world that Xiao Bai had created. Whitey itself was very easy to overlook. Even when it used its techniques, it was hard for others to predict or sense it. It had already attacked stealthily, making it impossible for others to detect it. Even if it was a Ball Soul, at this moment, it was hit without any warning at all. The main thing was that Ball Soul thought that he could subdue Xiao Bai and the others when he mentioned the Heavenly Bat Demon tribe. He did not expect that Xiao Bai would not be moved at all. Instead, Xiao Bai used his skills on him. After trapping Ball Soul in the illusion, Xiao Bai knew that there was no need to continue the battle. Ball Soul was not a match for him at all. Very quickly, Xiao Bai used his skills and directly dragged Ball Soul into his little world, completely controlling him. Then, Xiao Bai's figure appeared alone from the illusion and returned to Wei Yuyan's courtyard. The thousands of members of the Ghost Bat Demon Tribe Emperor Army were all dumbfounded and did not know what was going on. In just an instant, their leader Ball Soul had disappeared. What should they do? Even Long Yu and Red Oriole could not see through Xiao Bai's skills. This made them think even more highly of Xiao Bai. Your commander has been subdued by me. You should know that Brother Dragon has just received the first-class honor badge of the battlefield army. He is an important figure of the human race and the demon race. If you don't step aside, even the demigods will not forgive you for your crimes. Xiao Bai stepped forward and said calmly. Now that the Orb Soul was under Xiao Bai's control, Xiao Bai's words were quite a deterrent. At the very least, the remaining 1,000-man legion did not dare to make any more moves. They could only watch as Xiao Bai left with Long Yu and Red Oriole. Wei Yuyan was currently in Bal Soul's little world. Since they had captured Bal Soul, there was no need to waste time here. One should know that their time was very precious, especially Xiao Bai. They had to return to the army headquarters in 3 days and return to the Void Galaxy before the space-time tunnel disappeared. The 3 of them quickly escaped from the encirclement of the Ghost Bat Demon tribe. A 3rd stage Great Sovereign Realm Deputy Commander watched the 3 of them leave. His mouth trembled, but he did not say anything to stop them. Bal Soul was trapped by the other party without them knowing. It was obvious that the other party's strength was far beyond their imagination. It was undoubtedly a fool's dream to stop Xiao Bai and the others now. Soon, Xiao Bai and the others escaped from the encirclement and walked toward the spacetime teleportation array. However, at this moment, an extremely strong pressure suddenly descended from the sky. This feeling made Xiao Bai and the others' expressions change. A demigod expert. The 3 of them had seen demigod experts many times. They could easily distinguish the pressure of a demigod expert. A demigod has come. Is he here for us? Xiao Bai's expression changed slightly. Under such circumstances, the arrival of a demigod was enough to affect the entire situation. The key was the demigod's stance. However, Xiao Bai was not very worried. Even a demigod could not break the rules of the entire demon territory. Long Yu, who had a first-class honor badge, could not be touched. Little brother Long, don't worry. Even if a demigod comes, he can't do anything to you. Don't listen to Bal Soul's nonsense. None of the demigods are ordinary people. They won't do anything biased. Red Oriole saw Long Yu's expression change and comforted him. Really? Long Yu narrowed his eyes and asked. Of course. Red Oriole pursed her lips and smiled. Then I believe you. I won't worry. Long Yu let out a carefree laugh. At first, he was really worried that the arrival of the demigod of the Heavenly Bat Demon clan might be harmful to him, but since Red Oriole said it, he naturally believed her. After all, Red Oriole and Xiao Bai were not worried at all. They had spent countless times more time in the demon territory than Long Yu did. Naturally, they knew the demigods of the demon race and the rules among them much better than Long Yu did. The pressure of the demigod continued descending. Above the sky, a pair of enormous white wings appeared in the clouds. The wings unfolded and blew away the clouds around. Then, a middle-aged woman with an extremely intimidating aura appeared under the wings. She swooped down from the clouds with a solemn expression and arrived before Xiao Bai and the others in the blink of an eye. It was indeed a demigod. Everybody was even more certain of that when they saw him with their own eyes. However, there were 7 demigods in the demon race, and neither Little White nor Red Oriole had seen this demigod of the Heavenly Bat Demon clan before. How infuriating! The middle-aged woman came on the clouds and folded her white wings. Then, she walked over with a solemn expression. She did not need to see with her eyes to know everything around here. The spiritual senses of a demigod expert were countless times more powerful than those of Consort Yu, who had been enhanced by the light of equalization. Long Yu was rather confused by what she said. He did not know what she was angry about. Did they kidnap the young master of the Ghost Bat Demon clan? But judging from her expression, it did not seem like it. The middle-aged woman came to Xiao Bai and Long Yu with a solemn expression. She raised her hand, and the power of the world surged out and invaded Long Yu and Xiao Bai's small worlds. Then, Bal Soul and the young master of the Ghost Bat Demon clan were both captured. This situation caused Long Yu to frown slightly. Could it be that the other party was here to save someone? But soon, Long Yu was relieved, because after she captured Bal Soul and the young master, she immediately raised her hand and formed a white sword aura, which directly shattered Bal Soul. The engagement between the Heavenly Bat Demon clan and the Ghost Bat Demon clan is cancelled. Among the troops on the battlefield, the troops of the Ghost Bat Demon clan will be sent to the front line first. The words of the middle-aged demigod made the troops of the Ghost Bat Demon clan not far away turn pale. She really did not care about their feelings at all. Chapter 1349. Even Long Yu was slightly surprised. The demigod of the heavenly bat demons was truly impartial. She killed the ball soul without any hesitation. In fact, it could even be said that Long Yu was already somewhat astonished in his heart. That was because he had never seen such an existence before. Even though there was a marriage alliance between the Ghost Bat Monstrous clan and the Ghost Bat Monstrous clan, they did not give the slightest bit of face. This sort of ruthlessness was truly shocking. If it was just a superficial talk, then anyone could do it. But right now, this demigod directly shattered the ball soul, which was something that few people could do. Are you surprised? The demigod middle-aged woman glanced at Long Yu's side and said lightly, "If demigods of the demon clan were to act in favor of others and act domineeringly, the territories of the human clan and the demon clan would have been conquered by the outsiders long ago. Rules are rules. No matter who it is, even demigods cannot violate them. Everyone must remember that Maru Hun's actions are a taboo." These words made Long Yu's blood surge in his heart. Just as Red Oriole had said, demigod experts always considered any problem from the perspective of the demon race as a whole. That was because the 7 demigods were the guardians of the demon race. If even demigods disobeyed the rules and did whatever they wanted, like what the demigod of the heavenly bat demon clan said, the territory of humans and demons would have been occupied by aliens a long time ago, and humans and demons would end up like the Bone Clan and the Vestigial Clan. They could only be refugees or even completely annihilated. The person you want is here. As the demigod middle-aged woman said that, an old man was thrown out of the small world of the dead ball soul. It was exactly Wei Yuyan who was with the ball soul. But at this moment, Red Oriole didn't want this guy anymore. The old man was too restless. If he were to cause trouble in the Void Galaxy, it would be a disaster for everyone in the Void Galaxy. "Senior, you can deal with this guy." Seeing that Wei Yuyan was thrown over, Red Oriole said to the demigod. The demigod middle-aged woman's lips curled. "Okay. Dragonwing and Landslide have told me about your exploits. They're not bad. My duty is not to guard the galaxy. I'm here to take you to the demigods. If there's nothing else, come with me." Before Wei Yuyan could say anything, she had been captured by the demigod with a belt of white light and thrown into her own little world. "We still have some matters to attend to. We need to make a trip to the army's headquarters." Without waiting for Long Yu's reply, Little White interrupted. If Long Yu left with them, he wouldn't be able to return to planet Shui Luo within 2 days. He would have to wait for 3 months before he could return to the Void Galaxy. This wasn't something Whitey wanted to see. It wanted to enter the void and cultivate as soon as possible. It wanted to break through to the 7th stage Great Ruler Realm. 2 days later, we will return to Fallen Blood Star. Long Yu followed Little White's words. He wasn't thinking about Little White. He just wanted Shi Yengwu and the others to return to the Void Galaxy as soon as possible. If they used 3 months to cultivate, they could improve a lot. Moreover, there was the Primordium Gold Pond for them to comprehend. It would take at least a year for them to fully comprehend it. This was very important for everyone. If the Primordium Gold Pond was comprehended, there was a stone statue of the multi-winged race in Long Yu's little world. It contained some kind of revelation-level divine text derived from the primordium power of metal. At least 3 to 5 people could comprehend it. Whoever wanted to comprehend it could wait. In any case, the Primordium Gold Pond was a must for everyone. Of course, some people didn't have the primordium power of metal, so they weren't suitable for the Primordium Gold Pond. However, comprehending the primordium power of metal wouldn't do them any harm. It would strengthen them a lot. For these people, the key was to obtain a powerful martial technique that could be used with the primordium power of metal. Otherwise, even if they comprehended the primordium power of metal, they wouldn't be able to unleash much of its power without the means to use it. In terms of martial techniques, Long Yu planned to go with Little White to the army headquarters and use his merit points to exchange for one. There should be some unbounded martial techniques in the army headquarters. When the time came, he could just choose one that could unleash the primordium power of metal. Of course, even the army headquarters wouldn't have too many unbounded martial techniques. He would have to go there first. Then I will wait here for 2 days. I will also take care of the situation on Fallen Bloodstar. The demigod middle-aged woman nodded. She didn't make things difficult for Long Yu and Red Oriole to go with her. She decided to stay and take care of the situation on Fallen Bloodstar. This caused Long Yu to heave a sigh of relief. It wasn't a good thing for him if the Fallen Bloodstar was in such a mess. If Red Flame, Man Xian, and the others who were training outside returned and something happened to them, the situation wouldn't be good. All right. Thank you, Senior. Long Yu nodded. Ball Soul's small world and the young master of the Ghost Bat Demon clan were both taken away by the demigod. As for the Legion of 1,000 Ghost Bats, they were also taken away by the demigod. As she said, those people were probably going to be sent to the front line first. Doing as one pleased in the outer domain galaxy, acting tyrannically. This kind of behavior was strictly forbidden by the Army Corps on the battlefield. Not only did the other party openly violate this rule, he even dared to make a move against Long Yu, who had a first-class honor badge. Then we'll be on our way. Little White clasped her fists at the demigod and then left for the teleportation array. The demigod wasn't bothered. She waved her hands and asked them to leave. The demigod of the Heavenly Bats is named Flamboyance. He guards the east of the Demon Territory and the 60 or so galaxies in the east. The Heavenly Bats and the Ghost Bats both belong to the eastern forces of the Demon Territory. After she left, Little White said to Long Yu and Red Oriole. Of course, Long Yu didn't know the details about demigods. Red Oriole hadn't even become a Grand Dominator before, so she didn't know much about them either. Little White, on the other hand, knew a lot about them. Then, the three of them came to the teleportation array on the Fallen Bloodstar. Long Yu showed his Tier 1 honor badge and asked to activate the teleportation array. The manager of the teleportation array didn't dare to delay. He received the three of them and activated the teleportation array for them. It was a smooth journey. On the way, the three of them discussed what to do if there were no weapon refiners in the void. Both alchemists and weapon refiners were crucial to a force. Now that Wei Yuyan was no longer available, they would have to look for someone else. However, it wasn't easy to find a suitable candidate. Why don't we recruit one from the headquarters of the Legion? Red Oriole suggested. You don't know what kind of person they are. Chances are that they are even worse than Wei Yuyan. Long Yu, however, shook his head. The Blood Demon clan does have some rather awesome weapon refiners, but I don't dare to bring them back to the Void Galaxy. Otherwise, the secret of the Void Galaxy will be exposed to my father. Red Oriole chuckled. She didn't want the existence of the Void to be known by everybody. The advanced weapon refiners of the Blood Demon clan were all at the service of the Blood Demon clan. Their loyalty was unquestionable. If they were brought back to the Void, the chief of the Blood Demon clan would definitely learn the secret. Although the chief of the Blood Demon clan was Red Oriole's father, Red Oriole didn't want him to get involved either. I have a good candidate in mind, but the old guy is a bit weird. If you can persuade him, he might be able to oversee the Void. Xiaobai rubbed his chin and looked at Long Yu up and down. But if it's you, Brother Long, the old guy might like you. You can give it a try. But the old guy is in the territory of the human race. He's very far away from here. That's not a bad idea. There's no hurry to find a weapon refiner. If your old friend is suitable, we can pay him a visit when we have time. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. He was quite interested in the person Xiaobai was talking about. At the very least, it had to be someone recommended by Whitey. Whitey was also in the Void Galaxy, so it would not do anything to harm the Void Galaxy. Even if it took some time, as long as they could invite the person over, it would be more than enough. That old bastard has forged more than one unbounded top-tier battle weapon in the past. When it comes to weaponsmithing, he's already at the pinnacle of perfection. The only things that could pique his interest are the relics of gods and special weaponsmithing materials. Xiaobai nodded and said, "Then I'll leave you a jade slip. It records the old guy's residence in the human race. I'll also write some words of recommendation. With my reputation, he should be able to meet you. As for whether or not you can seize the opportunity, it's up to you. But I suggest you go alone. The old guy likes peace and quiet. Of course, I don't know much about his temperament. Think about it yourselves." "All right, thank you." Long Yu put away the jade slip, then nodded his head and said. After the discussion, they went through the teleportation array with the spacetime mark for the last time. In just 6 hours, they arrived at the center of the galaxy, the planet where the headquarters of the battlefield army was located. This was the main planet of the third outer galaxy, the most prosperous place. It was also the place where the guardian of the third outer galaxy, Landslide, was located. Normally, the Black Tiger-type Divine Mountain Breaker guarded the army headquarters in the third outer domain galaxy. However, Long Yu didn't know if he would be able to see him this time. It would be good if he could. After all, they were friends, and some things would be easier to talk about. "We've brought a lot of things this time. The Black Tiger Landslide will definitely come out in person," Xiaobai said with narrowed eyes. Whitey narrowed his eyes and said. He didn't show any respect to Mountain Breaker at all, which made Long Yu feel rather awkward. But that was just how Whitey was. Long Yu had gotten used to it on the way. Chapter 1350. The three of them walked all the way to the headquarters of the third outer domain galaxy. It was a planet several times larger than planet Xueluo. 3 sources of divine runes surrounded it like 3 suns. As the army headquarters, planet number 3 rotated, the 3 suns revolved above everyone's heads, repeating the cycle. Long Yu walked out of the space-time imprint teleportation formation of the third outer domain star. He looked around and found that this was a very prosperous city. There were tall buildings in the city, and between the pavilions of various styles, cultivators of the human clan and the demon clan came and went. Of course, the number of demon clan cultivators on the main star of the third outer region galaxy in the demon clan's territory was much more than that of the human clan. The moment they arrived at the third foreign domain planet, Long Yu felt an extremely special aura. It was extremely solemn, and an oppressive feeling descended from the sky. No one dared to make any strange movements here. Before they came, Little White had told them that it was the aura of a powerful defense array that several demigods of the demon race had set up together. Once demigods of alien races or armies attacked the third outer domain galaxy, the defense array would be able to resist for at least a year. Not only on the third outer domain galaxy, but on the main planets of the first outer domain galaxy and the second outer domain galaxy, there were similar defense arrays. They were the strongest barriers in the 3 outer domains. For the alien races, they were extremely difficult to deal with. Before, when the Ice God clan wanted to attack the outer domains through the spacetime tunnel, the biggest problem was that they had to deal with the defense arrays. Over the years, the demigods of the demon race had poured a lot of energy into the defense arrays. Moreover, the energy could be stored, which made the defense arrays more and more solid. Of course, it didn't mean that the defense arrays were unbreakable. As long as the alien races found some special ways, such as killing the eye of the array, they could easily break the defense arrays. That was the plan of the Ice God clan. Unfortunately, because of Long Yu's interference, the Ice God clan's plan was put on hold, and they suffered heavy losses. Now, the demon race and the human race were planning to counterattack the Ice God clan. As for the details, Long Yu didn't know. "Let's go." We'll go straight to the Legion headquarters on the third outer domain planet. As Whitey spoke, it led Long Yu and Red Oriole toward the army headquarters. Along the way, many people came and went. They were all cultivators who needed some resources for their adventures in the third outer domain galaxy. The third outer domain star was the most prosperous place in the entire third outer domain galaxy. Moreover, there were many experts with the Battlefield Legion's medals patrolling the street. These people were all members of the Battlefield Legion, and every single one of them was in existence in the Sovereign Secret Realm. The three of them did not encounter any trouble along the way. Soon, they arrived outside the city. Of course, the headquarters of the Battlefield Army was not in the city. On the contrary, the area occupied by the Battlefield Army headquarters was several times larger than the city just now. Ordinary mercenaries were not qualified to enter the headquarters of the Battlefield Army. They could only accept training missions in the mission areas outside the Battlefield Army. If one wanted to enter the headquarters of the Battlefield Army headquarters, one had to be a member of the Battlefield Army headquarters, like Long Yu, who had a Medal of Honor, or a cultivator who had been specially summoned. The headquarters of the Battlefield Army headquarters was a spherical building, somewhat similar to the shape of a battlefield fortress. From the outside, the entire building looked like a small planet that had landed on the third outer domain planet. Long Yu stood in front of the headquarters and looked up. He couldn't see the top of the spherical building at a glance. It's spectacular. Even Red Oriole couldn't help but sigh. In the skies, two sun-like sources of divine runes illuminated the entire planet. And in front of them was a small planet that sat on flat plains. From the entrance to this small planet, people constantly came and went, all of them members of the Legion that fought in and out of the Legion headquarters. The mission areas of the other Battlefield Army mercenaries were just outside the entrance of the planet, in a grand hall. This hall was very majestic, but compared to the small planet building of the Battlefield Army headquarters, it was still a far cry. Long Yu and the other two bypassed the Grand Hall and walked directly toward the planet-shaped Battlefield Army headquarters. This is a first-class honor medal. We have some things to give to the Battlefield Army headquarters. Take us to the Chief Commercial Officer of the Battlefield Army headquarters. Xiaobai arrived at the entrance of the Battlefield Army headquarters and said to one of the 100 guards. There were over 100 guards, and all of them had the strength of a higher sovereign. Every single one of them was a veteran of hundreds of battles. Long Yu could sense a boundless killing intent from their bodies. These guards were definitely much stronger than the two ghost bat race higher sovereigns he had fought before. In fact, Long Yu didn't have much of a chance of winning against any one of these guards. As Xiaobai spoke, Long Yu flashed his first-class honor medal. When one of the guards saw it, his expression also changed slightly. As guards of the Battlefield Army headquarters, they had seen all sorts of people. However, when they saw the first-class honor medal, their expressions still changed. It was easy to imagine how rare first-class honor medals were. In fact, for a long time, these guards might not even see a first-class honor medal. Seeing how young Long Yu was, how could they not know about the shocking news in the Battlefield Army headquarters? Could this be Long Yu of the human race, little brother Long Yu? The guard's eyes lit up, and he hurriedly greeted them with a smile. There were too many people coming and going at the entrance of the Battlefield Army headquarters. The other guards didn't move, and they all guarded other directions. Only one person came up to greet Long Yu and the other two. "It's me." Long Yu wasn't surprised that the guard recognized him. On the contrary, the guard was considered an important figure in the Battlefield Army headquarters. It would be too inexplicable if even Long Yu didn't know who he was. It wasn't that Long Yu was bragging, but the rarity of a first-class honor medal was indeed enough to make him a celebrity in the Battlefield Army headquarters. "Then follow me." The guard didn't expect that Long Yu would come to the Battlefield Army headquarters, but he reacted quickly and led the three of them into the battlefield army headquarters with a polite smile. The battlefield army headquarters was divided into many areas. The place that Little White asked the guard to bring them to was, of course, the trading area. They needed to exchange for battlefield army merit, materials, and training resources. The amount was too huge, and only the battlefield army headquarters could satisfy them. There were a total of 18 floors in the trading area, and each floor had a person in charge. These 18 floors didn't have a progressive relationship, but an equal relationship. In other words, the quality of the items on each floor was about the same, but they were managed by different people. The person that Little White asked the guard to bring them to was the commercial director of the battlefield army headquarters, who was in charge of the general affairs of the entire 18 floors of the trading area. Just because of the first-class honor medal, the commercial director had to come and meet them. As for the corpses of the demigod aliens, they naturally couldn't be made public to ordinary people. The commercial director of the battlefield army headquarters was about the lowest level that could know such secret. Hearing that a young talent who had obtained a first-class honor medal had come, the commercial director of the battlefield army headquarters quickly came out to greet him. It wasn't that he was very respectful, but it would definitely be good for him to make friends with people like Long Yu. Moreover, since Long Yu had come to the battlefield army headquarters, he must have a big business to do. Otherwise, why would Long Yu come all the way to the battlefield army headquarters? The commercial director was a wood demon, and he was very handsome in the form of a young man. When he saw Long Yu, his eyes lit up. "Haha, it's Long Yu indeed. Brother Long, you're a great hero of our demon race. How come you have time to come to our battlefield army headquarters?" The wood demon young man laughed. His attitude was very frank and sincere. "You recognize me, but I don't know how to address you." Long Yu smiled. Since the other party treated him politely, he would certainly respect him. There was nothing wrong with asking how he should address him first. "I'm from the wood demon race. My name is Ling Luo. You can just call me Little Luo." As the commercial director of the battlefield army headquarters, the wood demon young man's words and actions were very appropriate. He was like a spring breeze. After all, he had seen too many people. Even the demigod experts, who usually trained in the headquarters of the Legion, would summon him now and then. Okay. Little Luo, come here. I have something to tell you. This time, we really have something impressive to give to the battlefield army." Little White chuckled, patted Ling Luo's shoulder, and said warmly, "I can roughly guess." Ling Luo didn't resist Little White's enthusiasm. She still smiled gently. "Everyone, please follow me. This is not the place to talk." The three followed her and walked to the 20th floor of the trading area. The bottom 18 floors of the trading area were the trading area. Most of the members of the battlefield army traded on the bottom 18 floors. However, the trading area also had the 19th and the 20th floors. The 19th floor was the storage area of special items. There were many complicated spaces in that place. Many treasures of the battlefield army were stored there. It was heavily guarded. The 20th floor was where Ling Luo and the others worked. Few people were qualified to come to the 20th floor. If they wanted to talk about something important, they had to go to the 20th floor to do it. "Can you guess what we're here for?" Red Oriole was rather surprised by Ling Luo's words. She followed and asked, "If my guess is correct, it should be the bodies of alien demigods, right?" Ling Luo narrowed her eyes and asked. That surprised Red Oriole. She was somewhat surprised that Ling Luo could guess it. Long Yu, however, was not surprised at all. He chuckled. "Because Ball Soul and the others have already been here, right? The battlefield army should have obtained the bodies of a few alien demigods." Ling Luo nodded with a smile. "That's right." Chapter 1351. It was not hard for Long Yu to guess it. After all, Baal Sol and Sia had both successfully left the relics of the primordial alien races with the remains of unknown demigod. Such items could only be sold in the headquarters of the Legion. The legions in other battlefields were absolutely not qualified to purchase them. Even the offices of the regular legions in other battlefields were not qualified to know such things. It must be noted that in the headquarters of the Legion, only people of Wood Demon Ling Luo's status were qualified to know the remains of such demigods. For the entire demon race, it was a top secret. Now that Ling Luo had guessed it, there was no need for Long Yu to keep him guessing. Holding Ling Luo's shoulder, Little White chuckled. However, I have to tell you in advance that the remains of demigods of alien races that we've obtained are dozens of times more than what Baal Sol and Sia gave you. You'd better be prepared. These words caused the wood monster's scattered body to tremble, and its expression gradually became serious. Okay, follow me. We'll talk inside. On the 20th floor of the trading area in the headquarters of the Legion, nobody would disturb them. Those who could come here were all the senior staff of the Legion, and they were all qualified to know such things as the remains of demigods of alien races. After all, even if Long Yu sold the remains of demigods of alien races to Ling Luo, he would still have to ask other people to deal with the storage. Those people were the senior staff on the 20th floor, and they were all well-trained professionals. Very soon, they reached a room on the 20th floor. Little White had been communicating with Ling Luo intimately the whole time. There was no telling what they were talking about. Now that they were in the room where nobody else was, Ling Luo was more open and straightforward. None of you are an outsider, and Brother Long has made a great contribution in the battle against the Ice God clan. So I'll be straightforward. Ling Luo said with a smile. Earlier, the headquarters of the Legion received 4 bodies of demigods of alien races. Although they are not complete, they are still of great research value. Therefore, we offered a very high price. Can you tell me who gave them to you? Little White sighed. There were more than a dozen of us who entered the ancient ruins, but in the end, only a few of us came out alive. Baal Sol and Dark Thunder came to Shui Luo Star to cause trouble, so we don't know who came out alive. In addition to Baal Sol and Dark Thunder, there are also Boss Bear and Su Yuqing. Both of them came out alive. Speaking of which, these two are still in our army headquarters and haven't left. I can let you meet them later. Ling Luo didn't hide anything. She smiled and said, if they hear that you are still alive, they will definitely be very happy. These two are different from Marosol and Thunder. Oh? It seems that you already know what Marahun and Yori have done? Long Yu was a little surprised. The headquarters of the Legion can receive news from the entire territory of the demon race at any time. Besides, even Lord Gaudi was involved in the trouble that Marahun caused. Naturally, we learned it as soon as possible. Ling Luo said with a smile. Marahun was truly bold enough to attack his own people in the third outer domain. However, it's all in the past now. Let's talk about business. Everyone, how many demigod bodies have you brought out from the ancient ruins? Long Yu understood the principle that things were precious when they were rare, but there was no need for him to play tricks on them. They could just be honest with each other. Therefore, Long Yu simply told the truth. There are almost 100 demigod bodies in total. They are as incomplete as the ones they brought before. Most of them are demigod bodies of the multi-winged race. They had almost 100 demigod bodies of the multi-winged race in total. Other than that, there were also unknown demigod bodies of the alien races that Consort Yu, Little White, Shui Luo, Long Yu, and Red Oriole had each obtained. Those things were not very useful for them, but for the headquarters of the Legion, it was a great opportunity to learn about other alien races. Such an opportunity might not come by again in 100 years. Ling Luo's smile froze the moment he heard the number that Long Yu reported. Although he was mentally prepared, he didn't expect that Long Yu could offer so many demigod bodies of alien races. It was definitely a great fortune that the headquarters of the Legion was about to obtain. If there was only one demigod body of an alien race, many research methods couldn't be used, because some of them would destroy the demigod body, which would cause a lot of inconvenience and limitations for the research. However, if there were almost 100 demigod bodies of the multi-winged race, they would be able to conduct experiments to their heart's content and figure out the body structure and power composition of the alien race. Such a large number of bodies would make it much easier for the headquarters to study the alien demigod. It would be much more convenient and faster. It was definitely a precious treasure. Therefore, even the wood demons had no idea what to do with the corpses of demigods of alien races. It would be too difficult to calculate the number of demigod corpses according to the military contributions on the battlefield. If there are so many, please wait a moment. I'll inform Senior Landslide to take care of it. After all, Wood Monster Ling Luo had seen a lot of things. After a short daze, he realized what was going on and immediately treated it as an emergency. He informed Mountain Breaker of the Black Tiger species, who was in charge of the headquarters of the 3rd Alien Star Army. Because the number was too large, Ling Luo couldn't make the decision himself. He could only ask for the help of a demigod expert. Of course, there was another reason. If Ling Luo had to pay a high price for such a large number of bodies, he might have had to pay the battlefield merits. If he gave them the battlefield merits, most of the items in the trade house would have been emptied by Long Yu and his companions. If the demigod came, it was possible that the demigod could directly give something to offset some of the battlefield merits, which would be a great help. Any demigod body of an alien race was worth at least 1 billion battlefield merit. It must be known that an ordinary 7th star Imperial Monarch would only be able to obtain 1 or 2 million battlefield merit points if they worked hard for an entire month without stopping. It would take almost 80 years for him to save 100 million battlefield merits, and that was if he didn't spend them at all during the 80 years. But right now, Long Yu and his companions had taken out almost 100 alien demigod bodies. It was not hard to imagine that the headquarters of the Legion wouldn't be able to afford such a number if they exchanged the battlefield merits like Maru Hun and his companions did. The Black Tiger, Landslide, should have come as soon as he received the message. He didn't even waste any time. In just a few breaths of time, a familiar figure appeared in the room and stood in front of everyone. At the same time, a majestic aura descended. Ha! It's not bad to hear that you're still alive. Long Yu, you didn't disappoint us. Landslide laughed and flashed into the room. His unshaven body made him look extremely brawny. He glanced at everybody and nodded. Not bad, not bad. You've made great contributions to the demon race again. It's a pity that the honor badge can only be level 1 at best. It seems that I should discuss with the other demigods whether or not I should create a special level honor badge for you. Of course, he was only joking. The rules of the demon race wouldn't be changed just because of Long Yu. However, it was not hard to tell how much Landslide appreciated Long Yu. Without a doubt, Long Yu stalled the 3 alien demigods, which allowed them to win the battle against the Ice God clan. Now that he had obtained almost 100 alien demigod bodies, he was definitely a great contributor to the alliance of the demon race and the human race. Of course, Long Yu had to be modest. So, he shook his head and smiled. I can't take all the credit for this. The demigod corpses of the alien races were obtained through our joint efforts, and a lot of people died, including Master Yang, since only Maru Hun and his companions came out. Master Yang, who left together with them, must have been trapped in the primeval alien relics. Whatever the situation was, he must have died now. Even if he didn't die, he wouldn't have been able to escape the blast caused by the battle between the Dragon of Tartarus and the demigod statue of the multi-winged clan. Now that Master Yang was dead, they had sacrificed a lot in this trip to the primeval alien relic. However, for the alliance of the demon race and the human race, the sacrifice was definitely worth it. The price-performance ratio was very high. Sacrificing a few great lords could get almost 100 alien demigod bodies. The price-performance ratio was very high. In any case, since you've all made it out alive, let's talk about the price. Mountain Bung straightforwardly laughed. Talking about this kind of thing would not make people feel awkward. Both sides were taking what they needed. If Long Yu directly handed the item to him, he would be somewhat unwilling. That would make him feel that he owed Long Yu a favor. How could demigods be willing to owe other people a favor? Therefore, it was necessary for them to offer a price. Naturally, Long Yu wouldn't give in on that, because there were too many things waiting to be done in the Void Galaxy. If Long Yu didn't take a huge sum of money from the headquarters of the Legion, it would be impossible for the Void Galaxy to develop. Therefore, when it came to the issue of price, everyone put their thoughts on it and prepared to discuss it properly. As one of the 7 demigods of the demon race, Landslide certainly wouldn't want to take advantage of Long Yu and his companions. Earlier, Flamboyant had even killed Maru Hun in the name of justice. It was obvious that demigods couldn't be treated as ordinary people. Very soon, Landslide gave the 3 of them 10 options in total. The 3 of them could pick 5 of the options as the reward for submitting the alien demigod bodies. Chapter 1352. It could be said that every option given by Landslide was extremely precious to normal cultivators. Even in the eyes of Long Yu and Little White, they seemed to be something that they had to choose. However, Landslide also clearly pointed out that they could only choose 5 out of the 10 options as reward. Landslide gave them some time to think. During this time, Long Yu took out all the corpses of the demigod aliens from the small world and gave them to Landslide. Landslide then led the others to identify them with the wood demon Ling Luo. In the room, only Long Yu, Red Oriole, and Little White were left to face the 10 options given by Landslide. Among the 10 options, there were almost everything apart from battlefield merit. It included all the resources that the cultivators in this world needed. Moreover, there were many things that Long Yu had never seen or heard of. There were also many things that he knew but had never seen in the outside world, such as the ancient god forbidden skill. Among the 10 options, the one that surprised Long Yu the most was the ancient god forbidden skill. This was the last option provided by Landslide. It could be seen that this ancient god forbidden skill was an extremely precious existence in Landslide's heart. However, this ancient god forbidden skill was only an incomplete copy and could only be cultivated to the first 3 moves. Even so, no one could deny the value of this incomplete ancient god forbidden skill. It was normal for the Jiuyo Dragon Emperor to have the ancient god forbidden skill and the cultivation method of the 4 aspects killing prison. After all, the Jiuyo Dragon Emperor was the existence that was closest to the gods in this world. He was at the peak of the demigod level. However, for Landslide, this ancient god forbidden skill was already beyond what he could obtain. To be more specific, it was definitely not obtained by Landslide. It was very likely that he had obtained it with the strength of the entire demon race in the past. If Long Yu chose this option, Landslide would give him a rubbing of the ancient god forbidden skill. This rubbing was drawn and recorded by Landslide after he had mastered the first 3 moves of the ancient god forbidden skill. He had also written some of his experiences in cultivating this ancient god forbidden skill. Compared to the 4 symbols death prison, the 3 moves of the ancient god forbidden technique were definitely much easier to cultivate. This was very attractive to Long Yu, and it was naturally the same for Whitey and Red Oriole. The most important thing for cultivation resources is the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and the power of creation. We don't need the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, but we have to choose the power of creation. Therefore, the first choice can be decided. Xiao Bai pointed at the first option given by Landslide. The first option was a large number of creation items. Specifically, it was 1,000 heaven crystal level creation items, 10,000 earth seal level creation items, and 100,000 dark jade level creation items. With so many creations added together, it was equivalent to 2 billion battlefield army merits. For the headquarters of the battlefield core, this was the maximum number of creations they could offer. If they took out more, it would affect the normal operation of the entire third outer domain galaxy, at least to some extent. It would also have a certain impact on the market of the entire third outer domain galaxy. It must be noted that Long Yu had stalled 3 alien demigods and made a great contribution in the Battle of the Ice God Clan, but he had only received 5 million battlefield honor points for it. It was not hard to imagine how abundant the resources they had obtained now were. That's right. Creation items are indispensable. Let's decide on the first option. Red Oriole and Long Yu both nodded in agreement. Creation items were the most important cultivation resources for those above the Emperor level, so they had to be chosen. There were 4 more options. Although I don't know how many materials there are in both of them, they are indispensable to the development of our void galaxy. Besides, I don't think it's that important to gather the pellets and weapons. In comparison, it's better to choose the materials. Whitey continued to analyze. These 4 sets were 4 of the choices that Landslide had given. He did not specify the exact number of items, but just by looking at the 1,000 heaven crystal level creation items, one could tell that these 4 sets definitely had a lot of items. In that case, Whitey's words made sense. They didn't need finished pills or battle weapons. In any case, they had Liao Lele as their alchemist. High-grade pills could be concocted by Liao Lele, and ordinary pills could be concocted by many people. As long as they had the materials, it would be fine. They could also train their alchemy skills, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. It was the same for weapons. Since there would not be any battles in the Void Galaxy at this stage, there was not a great need for finished weapons. As Long Yu invited Whitey's strange friend over, it would not be too late to use the materials to make weapons. Even if Whitey's friend was unwilling to come, the Void Galaxy still needed a weapon refiner. Anyway, they would think about it when the time came. It was useless to think too much about it now. In this way, 3 options had been decided. Creation items, alchemy materials, and weapon materials. Everyone was a little hesitant about which option to choose. Among them, there was even a galaxy for Long Yu and the others as their territory. Of course, they would not accept such an option. Even if they didn't have the Void Galaxy as their territory, they wouldn't have chosen a galaxy. It must be known that without sufficient strength, it was impossible to manage a galaxy. Although the Demon Clan's territory was generally peaceful, there would still be many troublemakers. Not to mention that Long Yu had enemies everywhere. If he had his own territory in the Demon Clan's territory, his days would definitely not be peaceful. After thinking about it, everyone decided to choose the Forbidden Skill of Ancient God as the 4th choice. The temptation of the Forbidden Skill of Ancient God was too great. Moreover, since it was a forbidden skill of Ancient God that Landslide could learn, they should be able to learn it as well. As long as they learned the forbidden skill of the Ancient Gods, their strength would increase by several times. It was not something that could be easily achieved, especially for people like Whitey, who had almost reached the peak of the demigod level. It was not easy to become a demigod. Therefore, if they wanted to improve their strength, they had to consider it from this aspect. Even Consort Yu was in the same situation. Of course, they would not make the choices for the benefit of the ordinary cultivators in the Void Galaxy. Apart from their overall strength, the most important thing was the top combat ability among them. In case of any accidents in the future, the top combat ability would be the deciding factor. Even if they wanted to improve their overall strength, the ultimate goal was to serve the top combat ability. After all, if the overall cultivation environment was better, the faster they could cultivate, and the easier it would be for some genius cultivators to enter the ranks of the top combat ability. Both the overall strength and the individual strength were factors that could not be ignored in the development of a force. Only by becoming stronger as a whole could more and more powerful individuals emerge. After making 4 choices, the last one was even more difficult to choose. Apart from the choice of the Void Galaxy, there were 2 other choices that they could not decide on. One of them was the unbounded level martial skills, and the other was the cultivation method of the God formation. There were a total of 12 unbounded martial techniques, 6 from the human race and 6 from the demon race. All of them were mid or low grade, and although they weren't as strong as a high-grade unbounded technique like the war-crazed celestial body, they would still be a valuable resource for the Starry River. Those 12 martial skills were extremely valuable to the armies on the battlefield, and were difficult to exchange for even with merit points. For example, Long Yu's first-class honor badge was enough to exchange for the unbounded level martial skills. There weren't many records of unbounded martial techniques in the army on the battlefield, and those 12 were the most important of all of the unbounded martial techniques in the army on the battlefield. The other option was God Arrays. This included 3 types of first-grade God Arrays, 15 types of second-grade God Arrays, and 200 types of third-grade God Arrays. The cultivation method of this divine array could be said to include all kinds of divine arrays. Its importance to the development of a force was self-evident. Why do I get the feeling that the choices Landslide gave us are really bad? Xiaobai said, scratching his head. Many of the 10 choices are clearly meant for the major forces. But right now, both Brother Dragon and I are just humans. Don't tell me that Landslide guessed that we wanted to build a force, so he gave us these choices? Either way, we're not going to change our choices. Don't worry about the unbounded level martial skills. I have a way to get them, and they might even be better than these 12. They're just a bit more difficult to cultivate, so they're not suitable for ordinary cultivators. Long Yu said, narrowing his eyes. I think it's better for us to choose these God formations. They're more suitable for the development of the Void Galaxy. I can tell that you're cultivating a high-quality, unbounded level body tempering technique. Even demigods might not be able to learn a technique of that level. Whitey looked over at Long Yu and chuckled. If you have a way to get your hands on unbounded martial skills, then there's no need for us to pick martial skills. Let's just go with the God formations. That's right. Even if Landslide knows that we want to build a force, he won't stop us. Red Oriole nodded. Demigods always think from the perspective of the entire race. As long as our force can contribute to the alliance between the demon race and the human race, he won't stop us. Instead, he'll support us. Besides, our base is in the Void Galaxy. If we can really develop it, it'll definitely become an important strategic location for both the human race and the demon race. Then our choice has been confirmed. These 5 choices will allow our overall strength to rise to the next level. Xiaobai nodded, and the 3 of them finally decided on the 5 choices. Chapter 1353. Long Yu and the others didn't offer anything other than the bones of demigod aliens, including materials such as the primordial gold crystal and the enormous stone statue of the multi-winged race, from which they could perceive the power of certain enlightenment-level divine language. However, the bones of demigod aliens were already enough for Landslide to offer the 5 options. Therefore, there was no need for Long Yu to take out the other things. He might as well keep them for himself. Very quickly, Shanbing and the rest returned from the inspection. Although it was inspection, it wasn't that Shanbing didn't trust Long Yu. He just wanted to see the quality of this batch of goods. Not bad. There are 97 bones of demigod aliens in total. 5 of them are from unknown aliens and 92 are from the multi-winged race. Shanbing laughed heartily as he returned to the room. Wood Monster Ling Luo followed behind him with a smile, holding a jade slip in his hand. On the jade slip was a list of some items, which should be the procedure for an exchange. So, have you decided which 5 options you want? Landslide walked to them and asked them with a smile. Yes, I have. These 5. Whitey recorded her choice on a jade slip and handed it to the other party. After the results of the landslide, Xiao Chen cast his divine sense into it and a look of understanding appeared in his eyes. From the looks of it, Xiao Chen could tell that Long Yu and the others wanted to establish their own power. However, it was not a bad thing for Landslide. He certainly wouldn't stop Little White and Long Yu, so he didn't say anything. He just wanted to know what Little White and Long Yu were going to do next. To put it simply, although Long Yu's level was not very high, great events seemed to happen wherever he went. Therefore, Landslide had to pay more attention to him. Okay. Then I'll give these things to you tomorrow. As for now, why don't you come with me to meet Boss Bear and Su Yuqing? Landslide said to them with a smile. It was not easy to prepare so many things immediately. It was normal that it would take a day. Fortunately, they could return to Shui Luo planet tomorrow. Okay, let's go. Little White nodded. As for Boss Bear and Su Yuqing, Little White, Long Yu, and Red Oriole, of course, wanted to meet them. After all, they were worth befriending. At that time, it was Maru Hun and Dark Thunder who blew up the exit of the ancient alien ruins. Boss Bear and Su Yuqing seemed to have tried to stop them, but they did not succeed. This also caused the two of them to blame themselves recently. Fortunately, they would feel better after hearing that Shui Luo and Long Yu had returned alive. However, they would still miss Consort Yu. After all, Consort Yu was the strongest in the alien relics. It would be a pity if she didn't come out alive. As for the news of Consort Yu, Long Yu and the others didn't reveal anything. Landslide didn't ask either, as if he knew that Consort Yu wouldn't die so easily. Following Landslide, everyone soon arrived at a resting hall in the headquarters of the Battlefield Army. Only members of the Battlefield Army could enter this resting hall. The entire hall was like an elegant park, with pavilions, terraces, and so on. There were also people who specialized in making tea and so on. Boss Bear and Su Yuqing were in this resting hall. Although this was the headquarters of the Legion, demigods were still rare here. Landslide walked in front and attracted the attention of most people along the way. At the same time, people also noticed Long Yu and the other two who were following behind Landslide. Some people were astonished by the identity of Long Yu and the others. They were actually able to follow Landslide to the resting hall? But soon, someone recognized Long Yu. It was the human young man Long Yu who made great contributions in the battle against the Ice God race. This news quickly spread throughout the lounge, and many people came to a realization. No wonder he was qualified to follow behind Landslide. So this was his identity. After all, he was a young genius who had obtained a first-class honor badge. It's just up ahead. You guys go and catch up. I'll be leaving first. I still have other things to take care of. The demigod Landslide led Long Yu to an elegant corner of the lounge. Then, he pointed at a hot spring up ahead and left with a smile. Remember to wait for Ling Luo in the trading hall tomorrow. He will deliver your things to you. All right, thank you, Senior. Long Yu cupped his fists and bowed to Landslide, then instantly disappeared. However, Little White was already laughing out loud. It jumped into the hot spring in front of it with a putong sound, startling many people who were originally in the hot spring. However, his jump caused two of them to widen their eyes. These two people were Boss Xiong and Su Yuqing. They had been staying in the army headquarters for a long time. Because they had just handed over the two unknown demigod corpses to the army headquarters, they had obtained a lot of cultivation resources. Now, both of them had reached the 6th stage of the Great Dominator realm. This was the result of cultivating in seclusion for the past few days. However, they had been feeling guilty these days. After all, Long Yu, Consort Yu, and the others were trapped in the ancient demigod ruins. Long Yu and the others had arrived at the army headquarters too quickly. At this time, the The two of them had not heard the news of Shui Luo's return. Therefore, when they saw Little White, they were really shocked. However, the two of them quickly recovered from their shock. Looks of ecstasy appeared on their faces. That was especially true for Big Bear. He was a straightforward person to begin with. Now, he was unable to control himself. He laughed heartily and pounced at Little White. Little White, you're actually still alive. Ha! Since you're still alive, the others should be fine too, right? Boss Xiong laughed loudly and threw Little White into the hot spring. Little White did not even have time to scream before he was submerged in the hot spring. Su Yuqing was elegant and polite. She did not look at Little White, but raised her head and looked to the side. Although she was a man, she was still charming and charming. Of course, for Long Yu, this was a bit unbearable. Su Yuqing immediately saw Long Yu and Red Oriole standing next to the hot spring. A look of understanding appeared on her face. Her figure flashed, and she appeared on the shore of the hot spring, a snow-white robe already draped over her body. When did the two of you come out? Looking at your expressions, it seems that nothing happened to you. Su Yuqing asked elegantly. You guessed right. We're all fine, but Ball Soul and Dark Thunder are. Long Yu nodded and laughed softly. Ball Soul and Dark Thunder caused trouble on planet Shui Luo. Ball Soul has already been eliminated by gaudy demigod. As for Dark Thunder, I'm afraid his fate is not much better. That's good. That's good. Su Yuqing was open-minded in the first place. Now that he heard the confirmation from Long Yu, he was finally completely relieved. The burden that had been weighing on his heart for almost 100 days was finally lifted. From Long Yu's words, he knew that Consort Yu, Shui Luo, and the rest of them were all fine. Since they were all fine, the result was delightful and worth celebrating. It's a pity that Master Yang was stalled by the demigod illusion circle at the last moment and could not escape. Su Yuqing was still worried when she thought of that. Let's not think too much about it. Come on, let's have a drink together. We should take care of each other in the future. Boss Xiong hugged Little White and rose from the hot spring, laughing. He flashed and put on his clothes. Now that they had met an old friend, neither Boss Xiong nor Su Yuqing was in the mood to keep soaking in the hot spring. I happen to have something to tell you. Let's go and find a place. As Xiaobai spoke, it tried to break free from Big Bear's bear hug. Unfortunately, Big Bear's brute strength was too powerful. Now that it had risen to the 6th phase Great Dominator realm, and was at the same realm as Xiaobai couldn't break free at all. Everyone found an elegant courtyard in the lounge and booked it, preparing to drink and chat merrily. No one would eavesdrop in this place. Moreover, with Little White's abilities, it was impossible for others to eavesdrop, unless the other party was a demigod. However, there was only one demigod here, Landslide. Landslide was not stupid enough to eavesdrop on their conversation. We found a pretty good place and are preparing to build a force. We don't have much time now, so I can only make it short. I want to ask if the two of you are willing to go there and develop together. After sitting down, Little White briefly explained the situation. Of course, he did not tell them the details of the Void Galaxy. After all, if the other party was not prepared to join, it was better not to know. Boss Xiong and Su Yuqing looked at each other, both a little surprised. They did not expect Little White to tell them this as soon as they met. They were really not mentally prepared. They thought that Little White and the others would be like them, training for a while after submitting the alien demigod remains. They did not expect that they would directly prepare to build a force. It was not easy to build a force. At the very least, it needed many peak-level leaders, such as Consort Yu, and the resources needed were absolutely unimaginable. Even Consort Yu and Little White would not be able to get enough cultivation resources to develop a force, right? Long Yu did not stop Little White. After all, he also wanted to recruit these two. From some of the words of Landslide and Ling Luo, he could tell that these two were very loyal. It was just that they had not been able to stop Marahun and Dark Thunder in time. If that was the case, it would be very good for these two to join them if they could improve the overall strength of the Void Galaxy. He just did not know if they would be willing. After all, whether it was Boss Xiong or Su Yuqing, they were not alone like Little White. They were like Xue Luo, who had an emperor army under them. Of course, they wouldn't agree to it right away. Chapter 1354. Su Yuqing was the first to ask, "Where is the place you found? Is it far?" This was a very good question. He knew that there were some details that Xiao Bai wouldn't tell him before he agreed. Therefore, he was just asking to make some guesses. "I can only tell you that if you agree to go, you will only have one chance to come back every 3 months. Xiao Bai narrowed his eyes. "I've calculated the time. We have to go back tomorrow. Otherwise, we will have to wait 3 months. What do you think? In any case, Xue Luo plans to reorganize the Xue Luo army. When the time comes, we will either go as a whole or disband. If you want to go, then come with us to planet Xue Luo tomorrow and discuss it." "When will Xue Luo make his decision?" Boss Xiong asked in a low voice. This was a very important matter. His limbs were well developed, but his brain was not simple. "It should be in the next 2 days. But it's not certain. We split up with him, so we don't know how he's doing right now. But if it's you, you don't have to make a decision in the next 2 days. You can take your time to think about it," Xiao Bai said softly. His words were a little interesting. If Xue Luo didn't go to the Void Galaxy immediately, then his influence in the Void Galaxy would be much smaller. Both Boss Xiong and Su Yuqing could tell that if they wanted to go, it would be best to make a decision in the next 2 days. Fortunately, Boss Xiong and Su Yuqing's Emperor army were currently cultivating in their small world. Because they had obtained the demigod corpse of an unknown race, they had obtained a lot of cultivation resources. It was enough to increase the overall strength of the Emperor army to a whole new level. More than half of them could even step into the secret realm of sovereigns. The Emperor army would begin to transform into a sovereign army. Of course, this transformation would take a long time. It could take 3 months or 2 years. But no matter what, with enough cultivation resources, it would happen sooner or later. "In that case, we will go with you to planet Xue Luo tomorrow to discuss it with Xue Luo." Boss Xiong and Su Yuqing nodded solemnly. If they were to go to the Void Galaxy, it would not only affect Boss Bear and Su Yuqing themselves, but also their clansmen, and they would have to inform the army on the battlefield. After all, Boss Xiong and Su Yuqing could be considered members of the battlefield army. The Emperor army that they commanded was also part of the battlefield army. It was easy to escape, but one still had to go through a set of procedures and pay a price. The key was whether it was worth it for them to leave the battlefield and join Little White Consort Yu's forces. It was one thing for them to value friendship and righteousness, but when faced with such a choice, they still had to consider it carefully. "Alright, let's drink first. Tomorrow, we'll go back to Xue Luo's star and find him." Xiao Bai chuckled and did not continue to talk about this matter. Before tomorrow, it was better to enjoy it in peace. Long Yu and Red Oriole had not been able to relax for a long time. Taking advantage of the remaining time of the day, they could take a stroll around the army headquarters. After drinking, the two of them left the planet where the army headquarters was located and went to other places on Planet 3. Wilderness, plains, snowy mountains, oceans, every planet had many unique sceneries, and these sceneries were rarely the same anywhere else. At Red Oriole's request, Long Yu and her strolled around Planet 3 for a night. The most unique thing on this planet was that there were 3 divine rune sources orbiting around it. As a result, there were 2 suns overhead and 1 sun on the other side of the planet. This unique landscape made Long Yu feel a little enlightened. Even if he could create such a scene in his small world, could it be that the divine rune origins and the planets in the great world were also created by someone else? Or, were these planets, divine rune sources, galaxies, and so on completely formed naturally? If it was created by someone else, then who could it be? The gods in the legends? Where were the gods now? In any case, Long Yu could basically confirm that the gods existed in the world, but he did not know what kind of state the gods were in. No one knew how many hardships one had to go through to become a god from a human. But all in all, Long Yu could only look up to demigods, let alone gods. The path of martial arts was long. Although Long Yu's strength could not be said to be weak, in fact, he had only taken a small step forward. After walking around the entire Planet 3, the two of them received Xiao Bai's telepathic thoughts, asking them to return to the army headquarters because the wood demons had already prepared everything for the exchange. When they returned, Xiao Bai was already waiting for the two of them. This storage ring contains items of creation. Just like what we agreed on before, 1,000 heaven crystal level items of creation, 10,000 earth seal level items of creation, and 100,000 dark jade level items of creation are enough for us to use. Little White immediately said to the two of them, also, these are the materials for refining pills, these are the materials for refining weapons. This storage ring contains more than 100 jade slips, which record the cultivation methods of various divine formations, and finally, this simple and unadorned jade slip contains the records of the 3 ancient god-forbidden techniques. Well, give us some of the items of creation for our daily cultivation. You can take the rest back to the Void Galaxy. Let's go back to planet Xueluo first. Long Yu nodded and looked around. Where are Boss Xiong and Su Yuqing? They are waiting at the space-time imprint teleportation array. Let's go there. Xiao Bai said as he put away the items and prepared to leave the spherical building where the army headquarters was located with the two of them. From afar, they saw Wood Monster Ling land at the entrance of the army headquarters, smiling and waving at them. This guy was gentle and elegant, making people feel comfortable as if they were bathing in a spring breeze. This time, the transaction was completed. Since Long Yu and Little White were in a hurry, they didn't have time to talk to Wood Demon Ling Luo. After saying goodbye to Ling Luo, they had to leave. Otherwise, they might not be able to make it to the space-time passageway leading to the Void Galaxy. 6 hours later, they returned to planet Xueluo. Xiao Bai, Long Yu, Red Oriole, Boss Xiong, and Su Yuqing, 5 people in total, returned to the place where the exploration of the ancient alien relics began. There were only 6 hours left before the space-time tunnel closed. They needed to find Xueluo and ask him to explain some things to Boss Xiong and Su Yuqing. Then, they would go to the army on the battlefield. As for Long Yu and Red Oriole, they had nothing to do for now. They needed to make some preparations and find the demigod Gaudi of the heavenly bat demons. She would lead them to the demigod college. The demigod college was not urgent. Therefore, Long Yu and Red Oriole planned to follow Xiao Bai and discuss with Xueluo first. At the very least, they needed to know if Boss Xiong and Su Yuqing had the intention to go to the Void Galaxy. After a day, the situation on the Bloody Fall planet had been completely stabilized. Baal Soul had been killed, and the demons of the ghost bats had retreated a long time ago. As for the thunder lizards led by Dark Thunder, it was impossible for them to cause any damage to the Bloody Fall planet under the leadership of the demigod Gaudi. Xueluo successfully regained control of planet Xueluo and gathered all the people of Emperor Xueluo's army. Very soon, Long Yu and the others found Xueluo, who had just finished his work, in the residence of the mayor of Sky Cliff City. Haha, you're back. I've just finished everything and am ready to go back. Xueluo stood up and greeted them with a smile. Seeing that Boss Xiong and Su Yuqing were in the group, he did not say the words Void Galaxy, but only over there. We've already exchanged for the cultivation resources. Xueluo, tell them what they'll have to pay and what they'll get if they want to leave the battlefield and head to the other side. Our place is still lacking peak combat power, so we need trustworthy people to join us. Xiao Bai nodded at Xueluo and then stood aside, leaving everything to Xueluo to handle. He also handed the 5 items that he had exchanged for to Xueluo. Xiao Bai did this to reassure Long Yu and Red Oriole. After all, to Long Yu and Red Oriole, Xiao Bai was an outsider, and it was normal that they were worried about the training resources that he had exchanged from the army headquarters. If these resources were handed over to Xueluo, there would be no need to worry. To Long Yu and Red Oriole, Xueluo was one of their own, and there was no need to worry about other things. Therefore, Xueluo did not refuse. After all, he knew Xiao Bai's character. Having known Xiao Bai for a long time, it was indeed appropriate for him to temporarily take care of these resources. When he looked at the items in the storage rings, his expression changed slightly. Obviously, he did not expect Long Yu and the others to exchange for so many things. Brother Xueluo, it's great that you're fine. Haha, tell me, what are the conditions to lead the Emperor army away from the army? Since you've made the decision, I'll follow you, haha. Boss Xiong was an honest man. Before coming here, he had been somewhat hesitant, but now that he saw that Xueluo was ready to lead the entire Emperor army away, he was relieved. About that, if you want to join, I can talk to you about it. All in all, don't worry too much about the procedures. Senior Gaudi, a demigod, is on planet Xueluo right now. With Long Yu here, you only need to tell her. It's fine to leave the procedures to someone else. If you want to leave, just take your people and leave, Xueluo said with a smile. Chapter 1355. Xueluo's words put Boss Bear and Su Yuqing's minds at ease. After all, they were still worried that if they left, it would have a negative impact on their own species. But now it seemed that there was no need for them to worry about that. Because Xueluo himself had led the Emperor Army Corps of the Blood Demon clan to that place, and he was not worried that it would have a negative impact on the Blood Demon clan. The two of them looked at each other, then nodded and said solemnly, "That's right. Let's join them. Since you have taken a liking to it, it must be a good place." Now that the decision had been made, the rest was easy. Little White and Xueluo told them about the situation in the Void Galaxy. The biggest advantage of that place was that there were no conflict. They could cultivate in peace, and there was also the absolute beginning Golden Pool. The Violent Bear Demon clan, where Boss Bear was from, mainly comprehended the divine characters of the Berserker attribute. The Immortal Fox Demon clan, where Su Yuqing was from, comprehended the divine characters of the Charm attribute, which were derived from the absolute beginning power of the Wood attribute. Although neither of them had anything to do with the absolute beginning power of the Metal attribute, the absolute beginning Golden Pool was definitely very useful for them. Once they comprehended the absolute beginning power of the Metal attribute, as long as they had a fixed set of martial techniques, they would definitely be able to exert great power. However, if the members of the Violent Bear Demon clan and the Immortal Fox Demon clan wanted to comprehend the absolute beginning power of the Metal attribute, they might have to stay in the absolute beginning Golden Pool for a long time. Once they comprehended it, they would also be very powerful. The Void Galaxy was located hundreds of domains away from the territories of the Human Clan and the Demon Clan. It was very remote and should be located at the intersection of the territories of the Divine Water Clan, the Silverstone Clan, and the Soul Clan. Currently, the 3 foreign clans were in a state of peace, or rather, they were in a state of peace near the Void Galaxy. It was unknown whether there were battles in other places. At this stage, it was impossible for Long Yu and the others to leave the Void Galaxy to explore the surroundings. Previously, they had already taken a great risk by attaching detection arrays to the alchemy materials and flying out to explore. They could not do anything else for the time being. Now that they had decided to go, there were 2 more factions in the Void Galaxy. The White-Feathered Monstrous Clan, the Brutal Bear Monstrous Clan, the Immortal Fox Monstrous Clan, and the Blood Monstrous Clan were 4 great monstrous clans. Apart from the White-Feathered Monstrous Clan, which had over 100,000 clans, the other 3 great monstrous clans each had an Emperor Corps, each with around 10,000 soldiers. However, the overall fighting power of the White Feather Monstrous clan was definitely inferior to that of the 3 Emperor legions. After all, the White Feather Monstrous clan had a lot of old and weak people. They did not have a lot of truly powerful fighting power. Furthermore, their individual fighting power was definitely inferior to that of the Emperor legions. Since it's settled, we can leave now. There are only 4 hours left before the 3-day deadline. Boss Xiong, Su Yuqing, let's go. After Xue Luo finished speaking, he got up and prepared to leave. Then what about the fallen Blood Star? Long Yu asked from the side. Blood Fall Star will be renamed soon. There will probably be another Emperor commander stationed here. But don't worry. Things like Maru Hun and Dark Thunder causing trouble will not happen again. Xue Luo smiled and said, Well, that's good. Long Yu nodded and said, Then bring them along. Let everyone improve their martial arts realm and fighting power. After saying this, Long Yu called Shi Yengu, Feng Yusin, Feng Xiaofei, Feng Haofeng, and the others out of the micro-world and asked them to go to the Void Galaxy first. Xue Luo was quite familiar with these guys, so he did not mind. He raised his hand and sent them into the micro-world. Anyway, Long Yu would be returning soon, so there was no need to worry or say goodbye. Alright, Brother Long, remember to look for my friend. The Void Galaxy is still lacking a top weaponsmith. If we can invite him, we'll be able to develop faster in all aspects. Moreover, that old man has a deep understanding of formations. That's enough. Xiao Bai patted Long Yu on the shoulder and said with a smile. I'll try my best. That was all Long Yu could say. He had heard from Xiao Bai that the weaponsmith senior had a strange temper, and he was not sure if he could persuade him. But of course, he would try his best no matter what. If the other party had any conditions, Long Yu would try his best to satisfy them. After joining the Demigod College, you can choose some training to do. During the training, your freedom will not be restricted, and you can do other things on the way. Xue Luo thought for a moment, then said to Long Yu, If you want to invite that weapon refiner senior, or go to the human domain to find your father, you can do both. Of course, this is only possible if the power you accept is on the way to the human domain. Okay. Long Yu nodded. Those were the 2 things he had to do next. Besides, he had to see what kind of training he could receive after joining the Demigod College. Long Yu was looking forward to the Demigod College. He wanted to know how much improvement this place could bring him. What's so special about the experience points that are released? Everything would be revealed in the near future. Xue Luo, Xiao Bai, Boss Bear, and Su Yuqing brought the resources they had exchanged from the army headquarters, the 10,000 members of the Emperor Army, Shi Yengu, and Long Yu's people, and left the Xue Luo planet for the hidden spacetime tunnel that led to the Void Galaxy. This Xue Luo planet would be renamed from now on. After Xue Luo left, the other Emperor army would be stationed here and continue to serve the army on the battlefield. This was the fresh blood of the army on the battlefield against the demon race. It needed to be constantly replenished. Otherwise, the entire defense line in the Void Galaxy would have collapsed long ago. Long Yu and Red Oriole stayed in the City Lord's mansion of Sky Cliff City and watched the 4 of them leave. The City Lord's mansion was almost empty. All the members of the Emperor army that Xue Luo was with had been taken away by Xue Luo. The army on the battlefield would probably send someone to take over soon. But I don't know how Man Xin and the others are doing. Long Yu was a little worried. Man Xin, Qi Hua, Bei Yuyao, Gu Yi, Gu Wenshan, and the others were probably training in the Void Galaxy. He hadn't seen them yet. Until now, no one had returned to see the jade slip Long Yu and the others had left behind. Long Yu and Red Oriole couldn't wait any longer. In any case, the next spacetime passageway to the Void Galaxy would open in 3 months. Long Yu could wait for Man Xin and the others to gather, and then head over together. Now, the most important thing was to let Man Xin and the others know what was going on when they returned. Fortunately, the jade slip they had left behind had some information about the situation. Although it was only a rough outline, if Man Xin and the others saw it, they definitely wouldn't wander off. They would definitely stay and wait to meet up with the others. Let's go find Senior Gaudy. Long Yu and Red Oriole exchanged a look and nodded, preparing to leave. However, the two of them were obviously overthinking. The gaudy demigod of the heavenly bat demons had been observing them the whole time. Seeing that Little White and the others were leaving, he immediately appeared before Long Yu and Red Oriole. "There's no need to look for me. I'm here." The middle-aged woman that the gaudy demigod had turned into broke the void and appeared before them. Then, she put on a smile on her plain face. "Are you ready? The Demigod College is waiting for you. We can go now, Senior." Long Yu was not surprised that the woman could suddenly appear. After all, she was a demigod. Everything on the Bloody Fall planet couldn't escape her perception. As for the matter about the Void Galaxy, whether or not the gaudy demigod knew about it, as long as he was a demigod, he would consider the big picture of the entire demon race, just like the Black Tiger demigod landslide. Therefore, even if the gaudy demigod knew about the development of the Void Galaxy, he wouldn't have any objection, nor would he spread the news. Long Yu's trust in demigods was planted in his heart the moment he saw the gaudy demigod kill the Maroon Soul. This trust was not blind. He could see the spirit and obsession of sacrificing everything for the sake of his race from the gaudy demigod. It was exactly such determination that allowed the demigod experts to stand at the peak of the demon race and the human race and protect the demon race and the human race from the invasion of alien races. But if the determination were gone, it was possible that the situation would change immediately. Every demigod was a precious treasure for the demon race and the human race. They had their own duties. The Demigod Academy had its headquarters, which was not in the territory of the Demon Clan. Therefore, it was impossible for Shanbing to take Long Yu and Red Oriole there. After all, Shanbing had to be stationed in the Third Domain Galaxy to prevent the Ice God Clan's surprise attack from happening. Therefore, the gaudy demigod was sent from the demon race's territory to pick up Long Yu and Red Oriole. It was not hard to imagine the high position of the Demigod College in the demon race's territory. After all, it was the greatest hope of the demon race and the human race. Right now, there were 14 demigods in the human race and the demon race, and more than 10 of them were born in the Demigod College. It was not hard to imagine that the training in the Demigod College was very important and worthy of the attention of the demigods. I used to be a member of the Demigod College. 300 years ago, I became a demigod and a demigod of the demon race. I hope that more and more demigod experts will emerge in the alliance of human beings and demons, or even surpass us and reach the peak of demigod. The gaudy demigod waved her hand and stored Long Yu and Red Oriole into her small world. Then, she gathered the power of time and space in her hand. Sensing the air of the mark, she blinked and disappeared. Chapter 1356. On his way here, the gaudy demigod had set up a space-time mark on the way. Therefore, he could teleport to the Demigod College as quickly as possible through the space-time mark. It was a faster way than using the teleportation array. After Long Yu had a Tier 1 honor badge. However, the cost was too high for everybody. The value of each space-time imprint was equivalent to a mysterious jade-level creation item. Unless it was an extremely urgent situation, very few people would use it. Only demigod experts could travel long distances with the space-time mark, of course. If somebody was as wealthy as Long Yu and had exchanged so many items in the headquarters of the Legion, it was perfectly normal for them to travel with space-time marks. However, there weren't many such people in both the human race and the demon race. Where was the Demigod College? The gaudy demigod didn't tell Long Yu and Red Oriole. He simply stored them in his small world and teleported them through the space-time mark. Long Yu and Red Oriole, who were in her small world, couldn't know what was going on in the outside world, nor did they know where she was teleporting to. Among the humans and demons, there were quite a few cultivators who had heard of the Demigod College, but none of them knew where it was. Not just a few people, but none. Only the demigod experts and those who graduated from the Demigod College knew where the Demigod College was. Other than them, nobody knew where the Demigod College was. It was a bit like the void galaxy that Long Yu and the rest of them were in right now. If he became famous in the future, many people would know of the void galaxy's existence. However, those people would never know where the void galaxy was. This caused Long Yu to have some guesses in his heart. Could it be that the headquarters of the Demigod Academy was also in a place outside the territory of the human clan and the demon clan? Of course, it was possible, and it wasn't small. However, Long Yu didn't know the details. He could only wait until they reached the place. Now that the gaudy demigod was leading them to the Demigod College, all they needed to do was follow the arrangements. About 4 hours passed. Although Long Yu and Red Oriole couldn't sense what was happening in the outside world, they could sense that Foppish's teleportation had finally come to a halt. Foppish had stopped using the spacetime imprint to teleport. The situation made the two of them guess that the demigods had arrived, or would arrive soon. As expected, the two of them didn't have to wait long before Flamboyant's telepathic thoughts came into their head. You can come out now. The headquarters of the demigods have arrived. This is your first time here, so we need to pick you up. Every cultivator who has gone through the previous trials will be given a transmission mark, which can open a small space-time tunnel and teleport you to this place. As the information was delivered to Long Yu's head, he and Red Oriole were released from the small world by the demigod Gaudy. The moment they opened their eyes, they saw a boundless, dark cosmos as well as a ring-shaped building in the middle of it. This ring-shaped building surrounded a ball of light, and that ball of light was the only source of light in the pitch-black starry sky. At a glance, one could tell that it was a very powerful source of power. This is the demigods? Long Yu and Red Oriole widened their eyes and observed the ball of light and the ring-shaped building around it. The ball of light was much larger than the fallen blood star. Looking from afar, it looked like a sun and emitted an extremely warm aura. It wasn't hard to imagine how enormous the ring-shaped building around the ball of light was. That's the demigods. In the middle is the source of revelation divine runes, which can't be found in regular places. Flamboyant flew to them and explained with a smile, "Cultivators who are qualified to come to the demigods have no need for regular divine runes. I believe you are the same. However, the source of revelation divine runes is definitely a very precious treasure for you." The source of revelation divine runes. Hearing that, Long Yu and Red Oriole's eyes immediately lit up. Just as Flamboyant said, the regular source of divine runes might be hard to come by for other people, and they had to fight for every chance they had, but for Long Yu and Red Oriole, it was nothing at all. Among them, Red Oriole was born in the Blood Demon clan, and her father was the chief of the Blood Demon clan. She had studied a lot of sources of divine symbols in the Blood Demon galaxy in the first place and cultivated many powerful divine symbols. Long Yu, on the other hand, had comprehended a lot of the Enlightenment-level divine script of 9 serenities, and the Void Spirit Dragon Dagger was entirely made up of the power of water. For Long Yu, comprehending the regular source of divine runes was of no use at all. However, the source of revelation divine runes was a completely different concept. First of all, the Enlightenment-level divine runes were existences that surpassed the power of the 5 elements. According to the legends, the ancient gods had successfully derived the power of the 5 elements of the primordial era. Needless to say, they were much more powerful than the power of the primordial era. Secondly, Long Yu had comprehended a certain aura of the power of the primordial era from the ball of sunlight. It was obvious that the source of revelation divine runes contained the enlightenment level divine runes derived from the power of the primordial era. It was indeed very useful for Long Yu. Right now, Long Yu had only come into contact with two kinds of enlightenment level divine runes. One of them was the enlightenment level divine script of 9 serenities, and the other was a certain kind of enlightenment level divine rune of the metal element that was contained in the stone statue he obtained from the primordial relics of the multi-winged clan. Both of them were derived from the power of the primordial era of the metal element. They were very destructive, but destructive power did not mean everything. The power of the primordial era of the water element was the power to control space and time. If one could grasp it, they would be able to travel through space and time. If one's attainments in space and time surpassed others, they would be invincible. Now, what appeared in front of Long Yu was the enlightenment level divine rune source derived from the power of the primordial era. If one could comprehend this enlightenment level divine rune, they would absolutely be able to rise to the next level in the power of space and time, even surpassing the vast majority of humans and monsters. Of course, for the current Long Yu to comprehend this enlightenment level divine rune, the difficulty was no different from ascending to the heavens. After all, he hadn't even comprehended the power of the primordial era of the water element, much less the higher level enlightenment level divine rune that was derived from it. The reason that Long Yu was able to comprehend the enlightenment level divine rune was because he had obtained the 9 nether prison tablet and also the inheritance of the Jiryo Dragon Emperor. This was a major factor. Another reason was that his attribute was compatible with the primordial era of the metal element, so comprehending the power of the primordial era of the metal element was much easier. Even so, he had only comprehended a mere 30% of the enlightenment level divine rune, which showed how difficult it was to comprehend enlightenment level divine rune. If he were to directly comprehend the enlightenment level divine rune derived from the primordial era of the water element, Long Yu would probably only be able to comprehend 10% of it in a year, and the further he progressed, the more difficult it would be. This is still too difficult for me right now. Perhaps after I comprehend the primordial era of the water element, I can try to comprehend the power of this enlightenment level divine rune. Long Yu shook his head and sighed with emotion. That's right. In reality, even us demigods can't completely comprehend the power of this enlightenment level divine rune. Normally we can comprehend 50%, but after that it's extremely difficult to take another step forward. Up until now, no one has been able to do it. Gaudi shook his head with some regret. At the same time, he looked at the enlightenment level divine rune source that looked like a sun, a hint of reverence in his eyes. This divine rune source was discovered by us monsters and humans together, so it was used to build the Demigod Academy? Red Oriole asked curiously. No, this divine rune source was seized from the hands of the alien races. Speaking of this, Gaudi's tone became a little heavy. It was a war that took place thousands of years ago, and it is still recorded on the Demigod Academy's stele. It was an unparalleled battle between experts, and in order to fight for this divine rune source, our monster race and the human race paid a total of 8 demigods' lives. 8 demigods' lives. Hearing Gaudi's words, Long Yu and Red Oriole's expressions changed slightly. A war thousands of years ago had actually been so fierce? Just to fight for this enlightenment-level divine rune source? Of course, Long Yu knew the importance of the enlightenment-level divine rune source, so he wasn't too surprised that demigods had fought for it. However, the fact that the human race and the monster race had won that battle seemed to indicate something. Perhaps you don't know this, but the reason the human race and the monster race's alliance is weak right now is because the other alien races around us have joined forces to deal with us a while ago. Gaudi shook his head. Fortunately, the experts of our two races resisted the pressure and held on until that incident happened. Only then did we have a chance to breathe. That incident? Of course, Long Yu didn't know the reason behind it, but neither did Red Oriole. It was obvious that this was an absolute secret between the human race and the monster race. It was only now that Long Yu and Red Oriole had entered the Demigod Academy that they were qualified to know about this matter. It must be noted that they were the geniuses of the human race and the monster race who were most likely to become demigods in the future. That is something that very few people in the human race and the demon race know about, the descent of the gods. Gaudy's expression was solemn. Of course, this is only what we've heard, because this incident didn't happen near the human race or the monster race's territory. It happened in the nearby alien race's territory instead. The outbreak of this incident caused those alien races to fight against each other, probably because they were fighting over some kind of treasure. That's why the human race and the monster race were able to buy us some time. Even now, those powerful alien races are still in a state of intense war. The descent of gods. Hearing this, Long Yu and Red Oriole's expressions immediately turned grave. As expected, this wasn't something that ordinary people had the right to know. Moreover, even a demigod like Gaudy had only heard some rumors about it and hadn't seen it with his own eyes. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.